Restarting Pomodoro. Hey everybody, you are tuning in to the Canary Cry News Talk live stream pre-stream. Good job being here, and good job to Michael C over on YouTube for first comment of the day. I see you D-Live, I see you Twitch, I see you Facebook, and of course we see you YouTube. This is just a quick reminder, do not forget folks, you are going to, if you're a YouTube viewer, keep in mind, you will be receiving half of the broadcast today. This is for many reasons, including the fact that YouTube is sort of the biggest opposition to free speech and free thought on the internet. So we are only going to be able to give you half of the show today. But don't worry, don't panic. If you want to catch the rest of the show, you can follow us or catch the broadcast on one of our other locations. You can find those locations at canarycry.party, or even better, if you're on our email list, I sent you out nice, easy buttons to find those. But just so you know, we're on Odyssey, Rumble, Twitch, D-Live, Facebook, Twitter. We're all over the place. Wherever you want to watch, you can watch it. But YouTube will only be receiving half of the broadcast. Okay, folks. Well, we're going to get the show started today. It's going to be great. Yeah, let's just go for it, y'all. Buckle up. Yeehaw.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy. You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is February 18th, 2022, and we are live to tape, baby. This is episode 448, and today, Sidejack. Dun dun dun, razzle dazzle. I'm your best buddy Basil.
And this is Gonz, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ. Welcome to the podcast where we bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And my goodness, the egregiousness is rising, Basil, especially up in Ottawa.
Egregiousness rising.
This is Roman
Sounds
Ducky
like
with your 1020, over. Check in. We got us a convoy, over.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. What were you saying?
I was just saying, egregiousness rising sounds like kind of like a new Rambo movie, but Rambo is like 80 and he's just watching Fox News all day.
Yeah, and then he unleashes drones on the streets to do his bidding.
Yeah, something like that. But he has to take his blood glucose measurement first, and then his caretaker, has to escape from his caretaker who's taking care of him in his big mansion.
Yeah.
Egregiousness rising.
Yeah.
He has to go save Carl Tuckerson.
Okay.
Tucker Carlson, right. Whatever his name is.
Good. Okay. We've painted the picture. We're good to go.
Yeah.
So yesterday, we have a report here from Fox News. Just a brief update of what went down yesterday on Thursday, and then we'll get into what happened in Ottawa today with all the arrests. But this was kind of the lead up to all the arrests happening today.
More police, Charles, have moved here into the area right in front of Parliament, but those trucks remain in park right near Parliament, where the Prime Minister has been holding meeting after meeting, trying to figure out how to get this convoy out of town. And this morning and throughout the afternoon here on the ground, we've watched police move in take a look here. You can see a closer look at what we've been seeing here. Now it's day 21 and counting of this protest here in the capital city in Canada. A busload of law enforcement officers arrived in Ottawa this morning. Police dropped off those officers to patrol what they're calling the red zone, now ordered to bring the chaos in the capital to a halt. For 3 weeks, protesters fighting back against COVID restrictions and mandates. Although we haven't seen any major action by police yet, the interim chief, who was just appointed after the old one resigned the other day, says his officers are ready to use methods that Canadians are not used to seeing. Now, the demonstrators I talked to say, bring it on.
Bring it on. And bring it on, okay. They did. And the thing that's been very fascinating for me to witness, and it's actually gotten me very angry. I've had some pretty visceral kind of reactions to some of these clips we're about to share here. This first one is from Canadian Justice Minister talking about, because a lot of it has turned into from protesting COVID mandates to economic opportunities being collapsed down, locked down, with bank accounts closing and all that kind of stuff. But we'll get into the exact quotes. But this is the Canadian Justice Minister, and the CTV reporter here asks a poignant question when the Justice Minister basically compared people who have supported the trucker convoy financially with terrorists.
Look, you just compared people who may have donated to this to the same people who are funding maybe a terrorist. I just want to be clear here, sir. This is really important. A lot of folks says, look, I just don't like your vaccine mandates and I donated to this. Now it's illegal. Should I be worried that the bank can freeze my account? What's your answer to that?
Well, I think if you are a member of a pro-Trump movement who's donating hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars to this kind of thing, then you ought to be worried.
You ought to be worried if you're moving hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars and you're part of the pro-Trump group. I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, what a weird. Well, it's like a weird A to C they're doing.
Right.
Because it's not, if you're a part of the anti-mandate group, if you're a part of the freedom trucker group, if you support people protesting tyranny group. No, if you're a part of the Trump group,
pro-Trump group. Yeah, I mean, okay, like we're past the Trump presidency. I get that it was probably the most useful sort of, I don't know, straw man for the for the mainstream elite ever, maybe, but they just continue to roll it out, and I just thought it was ridiculous to even bring up I mean, it has nothing to do with Trump, I mean, if you're really getting down to the bottom of it, and it bothers me that the reporter pointed this thing out, and this guy doesn't really deny it. I mean, he's basically equating anyone who is considered pro-Trump with terrorist, which is nuts, and it's in line with everything we've been talking about in the last couple episodes.
That's right. There's a lot of redefining of terms, a lot of categorization of people. There's a lot of, thought crime that's being cracked down on. Of course, we're referring to the DHS threat terror bulletin report as well.
Malinformation,
that sort of thing. But even just guilty by association, I mean, that is the sad part about it. And I don't want to overstate it. And surely feel free, anybody, to tell me if I'm overstating this. But the way he's putting that there, referring to pro-Trump group and terrorists all talking about the same group of people and funding terrorists and this sort of thing. I mean, that is like crossing a line of political persecution that is really hard to come back from. And the fact that he's doing it so flippantly, he's just doing it as if it's matter of fact. He's not, offering commentary. He's not, some sort of personality that makes his money off of being egregious or whatever. He's like reporting the news, and the news is these pro-Trump terrorists who supported the Freedom Convoy are in big trouble. It's really horrific. What is the this is the Canadian Broadcasting Company or whatever?
CTV, I believe.
Okay, yeah. They're not joking around. They are not joking around up there.
Yeah, I'm sorry. My audition, something happened to my audition, and it is freaking out, and it just stopped recording. So that's not good for our purposes here. Give me one moment here. Let me.
Good thing you caught it early. While you figure that out, we got some more clips coming up here. That'll talk. What's happening? Are you okay?
No.
Would you like me to cover for you, or do you want us to listen to you?
Go ahead. Okay, sorry. Yes, I'm good. Okay. All right. Yes, you were saying.
Well, you just let me know when you're ready. We can
ready.
Get back on track.
I'm ready. Okay. I'm ready.
Get back on track. Get the other clip there.
So this is the other clip that this one really drove me nuts. It's been shared around. It's going viral right now because it starts off, and I don't know the full context. I don't know what happened before this, but this is Deputy PM Chrystia Freeland, and she just listen.
So you're confirming that accounts have been...
She's laughing. I don't know why she's laughing. I don't know what was said before, but not a good look when you're about to say what you're about to say.
So you're confirming that accounts have been frozen, both personal and corporate, but you're not releasing the information. And the actual follow-up is, I'm just wondering whether the bank accounts will be targeted of individuals who donated to the Give, Send, Go and the GoFundMe campaigns. Are they considered designated people under the Emergencies Act, meaning that their credit cards could be cut and financial services are targeting them as well?
Okay, so the names of both individuals and entities, as well as crypto wallets, have been shared by the RCMP with financial institutions. And
first off, that kind of means nothing, by the way. Can't they just track that in general?
Well, it's connecting the law enforcement categorization.
They're giving him the data.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which accounts are we looking at here?
Right.
Is what they're telling them.
And accounts have been frozen, and more accounts will be frozen. Crowdfunding platforms and payment service providers have started the registration process with FinTrack. In terms of the specifics on whose accounts are being frozen, you now have the regulations. The financial service providers have those regulations as well, and they, working with law enforcement, will be making the operational decisions.
So,
this is going to radicalize people, man. They're creating their own radicalized population.
Well, I think it's, yeah.
Whether that's part of the plan or not, it's very convenient for a government who wants to take more control, not just to label people as terrorists, but to then radicalize them after that. And we've seen, the U.S. we are professionals at radicalizing people around the world. You talk about ISIS, you talk about the Taliban, you talk about pretty much the entire Middle East. Most people being radicalized over there are radicalized because of the actions of the U.S. Military. Mm-hmm. You hear it over and over and over. And, this is Canada I don't know if it's on purpose. I have to question it because it's so blatantly out of control that you have to assume that they're just trying to radicalize people, trying to heighten attention, kind of like Biden and Ukraine, where it's every action that man takes in Ukraine just heightens the tension more than anything.
Right.
Not de-escalation, just incredible amounts of escalation from the U.S. And it seems like that's what Canada is doing here. They're just escalating as much as they possibly can.
And the pattern that we know is familiar to the military-industrial complex or whatever that radicalizes people all over the world. It's the economic choking. That is it's
the number one factor.
Yeah. Once you start messing with people's ability to access money, that's when you really get to the heart of, okay, what are they going to do? Are they going to stand up or are they just going to lay down? And this has everything to do with CBDCs, I'm convinced. With the whole digital currency thing with the FBI. We'll talk about that later today. I'm pretty convinced that it has everything to do with regulations for all that kind of stuff and really bringing the world as part of the Great Reset into a more of a digital economy, but they want it to be structured around governments and central banks to control that. And how do you do that? You have to create a crisis. You have to have a problem, right, with these people and their crypto wallets. Which, by the way, they can't freeze a crypto wallet. They can, I guess they can find out where you are. They can try to hack it. They can try.
I mean, if it's like a Coinbase wallet or something.
Well, no, that's a good point, because if it is Coinbase or FTX or whatever, these centralized platforms, you're done. Mm-hmm. You don't have access to your crypto anymore. But if you're doing it right, if you're actually Bitcoining correctly and you have your own private keys and you just memorize it or whatever, they would have to hack your brain in order to get to the private keys. Enter Neuralink, by the way. So that's just a little side note. But this really upset me. I mean, this is like, this is the kind of thing where it goes from just about freedom and that kind of stuff into let's bring up biblical eschatology and the mark of the beast, because obviously this is the type of thing that we'll see. You can't buy or sell if you don't have the mark. I mean, this is what the government is sort of moving towards. I'm not saying that, the mark is based on Trudeau's order here, but just very familiar feeling in that regard.
I mean, it's the process that matches, is the process where if you're not taking the mark, you're not bowing down, whatever, then they could just take away your ability to operate within society, which they've gotten addicted to, I'm convinced, over the past couple years, rather. All right, let's check in.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, I think that it's important to point out the difference in the various levels of this taking place, because I have a clip here. It's a 20-second clip of a trucker and what he's willing to give up for freedom.
Are you prepared to lose your truck?
Yeah, absolutely. Come take my truck, do whatever you got to do. That's fine. Well, because it's just a material possession, right? Freedom is something much more than that. So take my possessions, put me in jail, sue me, do whatever you got to do.
Yeah. I mean, these guys aren't joking. Guys and gals, they ain't joking. And that's what's being tested right now.
Right. See, I think that's on point.
You got to remember, the lizard people and the elites, they think there is a point. They think they know the point at which they can break a population. Mm-hmm. And to some degree, they're right. I mean, there's centuries upon centuries upon centuries of elite lizard people research onto just how far you can push it and stay in power. Mm-hmm. And, they're operating off of this algebra all the time. So the fact that they are pulling this, they know they can push it a little bit further. They know they can, and the two options are it works and people say, oh my gosh, we've had enough and we're broken, or they just push it a little bit over the line and then things get really rowdy.
Yeah, and the name of the episode is Sci-Jack, and it's partly because of this idea that this is both a psychological operation and a hijacking of a well-meaning industry, a hardworking blue-collar industry of the truckers who they're trying to do something that's, standing up for freedom, and all the people that are supporting this thing. So in a way, the elite lizard people, they are hijacking this positive movement on one hand. On the other hand, they might have known that this is the group to target, to rile up. You know what I mean? To extract this next level of totalitarian control or whatever they're looking for, because it's become about much more than just the mandates now. You know what I mean? Like it started there, but now with the actions being taken, which leads us to the AP article here. Do you want to cover that real quick?
Yeah, sure. I noticed we're going to have to make a change to the timer. You did an accident. We have a whoopsie daisies on the timer.
Do we?
Okay, this is coming. Yes, we do. We'll talk about it after this. APnews.com, the headline, Canadian police arrest 70 protesters in Ottawa crackdown. Police began arresting scores of demonstrators and towing away vehicles Friday in Canada's besieged capital. And a stream of trucks started leaving under the pressure, raising authorities' hopes for an end to the 3-week protest against the country's COVID-19 restrictions. By mid-afternoon, at least 70 people have been arrested, mostly on mischief charges, and more than roughly 24 vehicles have been towed, including all of those blocking one of the city's major streets, authorities said. One officer had a minor injury, but no protesters were hurt, Interim Ottawa Police Chief Steve Bell said. Police, quote, continue to push forward to take control of our streets, he said, adding, quote, we will work day and night until this is completed. Those arrested include at least 4 protest leaders. The crackdown on the self-styled Freedom Convoy began this morning when hundreds of police, some in riot gear and some carrying automatic weapons, descended into the protest zone and began leading demonstrators away in handcuffs through the snowy streets as holdout truckers blared their horns. Tow truck operators wearing neon green ski masks with their company's decals taped over on their trucks to conceal their identities arrived under police escort and started removing the hundreds of big rigs, campers, and other vehicles parked shoulder to shoulder near Parliament. Police smashed through the door of at least one RV camper before hauling it away. Scuffles broke out in places, and police repeatedly went nose to nose with the protesters and pushed the crowd back amid cries of freedom. Oh my gosh. What a
some of these images too.
You know, I know the imagery here.
The imagery and
can you imagine being a tow truck driver having to wear a ski mask because of your siding with the man towing away people's livelihoods because Justin Trudeau wants you to? And can you imagine being a police officer handcuffing peaceful protesters as they're screaming freedom in your face? Again, we saw this with protests here in the U.S., but it's going to be hard to sleep for some of these, pawns of the system in the next week or so. It continues. Cries of freedom and the singing of the national anthem, O Canada. Many protesters stood their ground in the face of one of the biggest police enforcement actions in Canada's history, with officers drawn from around the country. Quote, freedom was never free, said trucker Kevin Hammond of Montreal. Quote, so what if they put the handcuffs on us and they put us in jail? But a steady procession of trucks began leaving Parliament Hill in the afternoon as lines of officers pushed through the streets. There are indications we are now starting to see progress, Ontario Premier Doug Ford says. The capital.
Start arresting people, shutting things down, locking out their bank accounts. We're seeing progress.
We're seeing progress. Can you imagine being in this class of person who sees that as progress? It's unbelievable. The capital and its paralyzed streets represented the movement's last stronghold after 2 weeks of demonstrations and blockades that shut down border crossings into the U.S. and created one of the most serious tests for Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. They also shook Canada's reputation for civility, with some blaming America's influence.
America bad.
It continues on for quite a while. It does a lot of review, but I think that's kind of the meat of the subject there.
Did you see some of the, I didn't clip it, did you see some of the footage of the arrests?
No, I didn't.
There was a footage of the arrest of Tamara Lich, I think it's Lich. And I saw some people mentioning how it looked very staged. It just looked like a lot of, the cameras were there and it's very clear. And I don't know. There are people skeptical of the arrests in general, maybe perhaps being some kind of staged type of event. I don't know. I really don't know.
Well, we saw some of that in Australia.
We did see it in Australia, so I wouldn't be surprised at all. But it is something to keep in mind. Anytime there are arrests, like what is it really? And plus, I was seeing on Twitter too that there's an MOU. A memo of understanding, memorandum or memo of understanding, and the group because there's a lot of people. Did you see in their MOU they said that they wanted to take over the government? Well, the main Canadian group that first had people sign on to that backed out like on the 7th or something, and said like, hey, we don't actually agree with what's in the thing. So yeah, thank you for all the signatures. It was like hundreds of thousands of signatures. But he's like, yeah, we can't really support it right now. So I don't know if, again, who's in there writing stuff and then who's approving it before you read it, with some of these organizations. But anyway,
I don't know.
It's questionable, some of these little details around the edges.
Well, there's also the question of infiltration.
Infiltration, yeah, it's very much,
because there's certain wording that if it shows up in documents or posts or something that will justify labeling as terrorists.
Right.
If wording gets in there that you want to overthrow the government, yeah, boom, you're on a terrorist watch list.
Right.
Okay, let's let me just next fun one
real quick, okay? Because I want to, despite the traumatic thing here, we're okay because Mike Lindell, my pillow guy, according to the Daily Beast, is seriously planning to drop pillows from the sky over Canada.
Wow, what an American hero.
I don't know if this is true. I mean, we won't read this, but basically it was funny because the way they quoted Mike Lindell here, quote, "We need to get my pillows to the people." And the Daily Beast noted in this report that the pillows will have little parachutes, adding, make sure you put that part in or it could be dangerous. So it looks like I don't know. So that's the Daily Beast.
Parachute some pillows.
Parachute pillows. That's the Daily Beast. Now, The Hill had a little bit more of I think it was The Hill. Hold on. Let me just real quick. Oh, no, it was Washington Examiner. I'm sorry. Washington Examiner had a little bit more of like just a more normal article about what he's doing. He's using trucks. He's not actually going to airdrop them. He was joking or whatever. Of course, Daily Mail or Daily Beast, look at this crazy Trump man. He's going to airdrop a bunch of pillows.
He's pro-Trump. So if he's delivering pillows, he's airdropping them. They're not supply drops. They're, ballistic explosives or something.
It would be funny if he dropped one pillow, like just one, over the entire state of Canada. I don't know.
It'd be way funnier if he dropped too many pillows.
That's true too. The one thing I noticed though, Mike Lindell, I was like, man, he kind of looks familiar to me. I didn't know who it was, but I realized who it was now. It's Mr. Satan from Dragon Ball. Do you remember Mr. Satan from Dragon Ball?
No, I don't.
He's very similar kind of look there.
His name on the show was Mr. Satan?
Mr. Satan, yeah.
Cool name,
okay. Right? The one thing to note from this Washington Examiner article, I had it highlighted. I don't know why my highlight disappeared. But he said that he had enough. Hold on, let me find it. Here we go. Nope. Where is it? There we go. Quote, "This is disgusting what he's done to Canada," talking about Trudeau. Quote, "He needs to get rid of all the mandates and open up Canada. Enough's enough." Do you know do you know about the Enough card? Illuminati card?
No.
Enough is enough card has been played. See, this is a thing that's very strange about all of this with protests and everything else. There's like Illuminati cards for all of it. But the enough is enough is
the trucker protest was on the Illuminati cards too.
Yeah. The enough is enough is very interesting because it's like a direct quote from an Illuminati card. And on this card, enough is enough. People have pointed out and said like, oh, it kind of looks like Trump, but I don't know. You can, at any time, in any place, our snipers can drop you. Have a nice day. So look out, Mike Lindell.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there we go. There's the lead story for today. Was there anything else to...
I just wanted to mention the idea of a psychological operation and what it is historically. There's a good definition here from scienso.com. Psychological operations are planned operations to convey selected information and indicators to foreign audiences to influence their emotions, motives, objective reasoning, and ultimately the behavior of foreign governments. Ding, 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 ding. Organizations, groups, and individuals. So, I mean, the convoy and the government both fall under the psychological operation. And then I didn't realize the U.S. Army actually has a page for psychological operation. Did you know this, Basil?
Oh, yeah. Did we cover it? We haven't done it on the show, but I refer to that, or I have referred to it in the past.
There's a little subheadline here. PSYOP soldiers strategically influence and deceive.
Yeah, they have you can find the military manual on PSYOPs as well.
Yeah, so it's a real thing, and then add that to the idea of a hijacking a movement, hijacking well-meaning Canadians, well-meaning workers, and we have a sidejack.
Mm-hmm. You've been sidejacked.
You know what's funny too, or not funny, but interesting? The word hijack, according to the etymology dictionary online, was coined in 1922. It's the 100-year kind of moment
100-year anniversary of hijack?
Of the word hijack, yeah.
Wow. What a fun little detail.
Fun detail, I know.
What other podcast is helping you celebrate the 100-year anniversary of the word hijack?
Dropping knowledge is what we do here.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Okay. Well, I think it's time to move on, Gons. We've got a couple of things to do before we get to our next story. First of all, Gons, on our timer, there's a whoopsie daisies on the first input. Just hit the trash can on that first line. And that'll sync us up.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, 3, 2, 1. Okay,
boom.
There we go. Now we're synced up. Okay, Gons, well, you know what day it is. It's Friday.
You gonna learn today? Cause it's Friday. You ain't got no job. And you ain't got Why you not entertained?
Oh, very good. Can we hit the Friday day too?
Yeah.
It's just got that energy.
Friday,
there we go.
It's Friday, It's Friday. It's Friday,
Yeah, no, I understand. Well, there you go. We can keep playing with the Friday thing. Mm-hmm. And we do continue to keep playing with the Friday thing. I want to thank everybody who has signed up for the Canary Cry text notifications. We have continued. I mean, for a long time, we've experienced the subtle censorship, the soft censorship of notifications not going out to our listeners, or our subscribers or followers or whatever, when we are going live. And so today was the first time we got to send out our text message alert for those who signed up to the text message list. We sent that out a half hour. Well, we sent it out an hour before the show, but we accidentally said it was a half hour on the text. So sorry about that. We'll get better at the texting. And if you would like to receive the text message alerts, you can see it on the screen now. Never miss another stream. Receive going live text notifications. Text Canary to 877-742. Nope. 877-740-3226. And no, we did not get to pick that number. It just happens to include the Skull and Bones 322. Well, you weren't gonna say. You did say last episode. And everybody else.
Again.
I was going to repeat myself.
There is a 777 sequence in there as well. So let's
that's true. 8777. Okay. Yeah. Very fun. There's also,
26. You know that number 26.
26, always being a rascal. So yeah, sign up for that. Gons, this was not exactly what I had in mind for this graphic, but it's good for now. I was hoping we can make it kind of little and maybe put it on the side somewhere.
Oh,
maybe turn it vertically.
You're usually the make it huge, make it in people's faces.
Yeah, well, we didn't really talk about it, but yeah, I do like it huge and in people's faces. But if we can make it small and then maybe put it up in the top right-hand corner or something, just so anybody watching at any point can see what the number is, that would be helpful. But yeah, go do that. Text Canary to 877-740-3226 to get on the text message list. I sent out an email about it, just letting you know sort of what to expect. Of course, we will not spam you. We do not collect any identifying information, no names, no nothing. Simply just your number for delivery purposes. We absolutely are not going to share that with anybody or anything like that. And you can expect to pretty much just get one text per episode, just letting you know that we're going live. We have no plans to send you any extra stuff. But, I guess in the future, it's possible if people agree, we can send out other little notes. But right now, it's just letting you know that the show is going live. So, and it's a direct connection, so you don't have to rely on big tech, no relying on YouTube or whatever to notify you, because that obviously doesn't work very well. So go do that. You can also sign up online at canarycry.party. Guns, did you have any like personal things you wanted to talk about? I have nothing, actually.
No, not really. Nothing today.
Yeah, I'm excited for the weekend. That's pretty much it. Well, before we get back into the show, Gons, we want to thank the executive producer and the associate executive producers who are making this show possible. For those who don't know, we're on the value for value model. You'll notice we have no advertisements, no affiliate codes, no merch, no nothing like that. We are entirely produced by our producers. Who are they? They're listeners just like you who find value in the show and put value back in. And today, Gons, the executive producer of this episode 448, is executive producer Michael W.
Thank you, Michael W.
Yeah.
Where'd you find this?
That's right. And we'll read a note and everything from Michael W. during the break. But thank you.
Thank you, Michael W.
Everybody make sure to put out a little shout out in the chat for Michael W. for executive producing. We also have a double associate executive producer for today's show. And that is associate executive producers Mary Christine and Road Racer.
Mary Christine and Road Racer. Thank you very much.
Yay. That's right. Thank you.
You are executive associate producer for Mission Below. While it lasts.
And remember, it's not too late to become a producer of this episode. Remember, it's the only way the show keeps going. Go to canarycryradio.com/support to produce the show.
Oh, were you going to actually have me play that jingle? Hold on. I was not ready for it. I was ready for the next thing.
Oh, okay.
Here we go.
canarycryradio.com/support.
Okay, I'll put a note on there for next time. As you can see, folks, we are continuing to shuffle the format of the show around to hopefully make things go faster, a little bit smoother, and just mix it up. It's nice to mix it up every once in a while as we continue through our 2022 upgrade campaign. And other than that, Gons, was there anything? Oh, yes. Just a reminder for YouTube, you will be receiving half of the show today. So I'm giving you fair warning. Go join one of our other live streaming platforms you can find at canarycry.party and load up a new account there, because that's where you're going to get the real juicy stories in the second half of the show. Okay, I think it's time to check in with Flippy.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
Whee! Okay, today we're checking in with Flippy, not just any Flippy, but Olympic Flippy. And Flippy, if you don't know, is our colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. And we just can't help but become best friends. We use talking about Flippy as a way to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways that robots are taking over the world and how there's nothing we can do about it. So today, the Flippy Update is coming from an unusual source for the Flippy Update, and that is Forbes.com. Forbes.com has a headline for this article here, which is Futuristic Technology at the Olympics, AI, IoT, and Robots. And while we've covered the sort of Olympic obsession with robots over the past few years, the Olympics being an opportunity for nations to sort of show off their cool robots, this one was especially meaningful to me, Gons, because of my newfound favorite athlete. That's right, Matt Hamilton on the USA curling team. And today I'm jumping down about halfway through this article because there's a headline that reads, Refining Curling in Beijing with a Robotic Coach. Inventors and scientists at the Harbin Institute of Technology in China created a robotic curling coach that uses a combination of image recognition, AI, and an automatic control system to help teams refine their performance. The robot simulates the curling throwing process, which can help athletes predict potential game situations before they occur. The HIT team will unveil the robot curling coach to the world at the Beijing Olympics. Get a little preview of how the robot works in this short video. Then they got a fun little video here where you can check out this little guy, this little flippy guy. He's a couple of big old tires so he can move around on the ice. He's got a little claw that he grasps onto the curling. He's kind of like a tractor, like a tiny autonomous curling tractor. I don't know exactly how this is helpful to a human being watching this sucker because there's no human involved. It's just more entertainment watching this curling robot curl.
It's for the sweepers, right? It's for the sweepers to get in their practice.
It must be, yeah, just a sweeper thing. But the thing is, the sweepers can practice and I don't know what they're called, the throwers, the sliders.
The sliders.
The styly,
we need you to get
Steve's masters.
Better informed with curling terminology if we're going to really...
considering I have one favorite athlete in the world and he's a curler, I know absolutely nothing about curling.
Maybe we should bring Matt, what's his name?
It's Hamilton.
Hamilton.
It's a good way to connect with our Canadians brothers and sisters too.
True.
They actually like curl up there, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But it fits into this trend that we've been seeing regarding the replacement of human athletes with robot athletes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, this is just a trainer. They're not claiming that this is a thing. But in the past, Flippy Updates, we've seen robot basketball players. We saw robot track athletes. We've seen robots just sort of invading athletics. Across, all sports, or at least a growing number of sports.
Right.
And, we postulated that someday robot Olympics will supplant human Olympics because they're just way more impressive.
Yeah, and one of the funny things about this YouTube video, China's robotic curling coach in 60 seconds from CGTN. YouTube tells us that CGTN is funded in whole or in part by the Chinese government with the wiki link. So thank you, YouTube, for letting us know that you have channels that don't get banned on your platform because they're whole or in part funded by the Chinese government.
Yeah. If only we could get funded by the Chinese government, then maybe we could broadcast our whole show on YouTube.
The other thing to mention in this article is a little part about engaging fans with real-time data. And it talks about AI-powered 3D athlete tracking. So they have all this. I mean, this is basically a surveillance mechanism for the athletes.
Enough of these curlers living outside of the panopticon. We need to get them in the system.
Well, here's the thing. Because of all of the data collection that takes place on the athletes, especially when they're performing, the robots know, or the people that build the robots know what kind of metrics and what kind of thing they need to achieve in order to replicate, whatever athleticism is being performed at the highest level here.
Right.
So it's just one of those things, more data. And being a competitive athlete growing up, I always had the sense of like, I need more information about my own thing because, at the time, the most self-reflecting thing you can do is take video. There was an underwater video camera, allows a swimmer. Are you moving stuff around over there? You're like, cut your camera.
Sorry, I'm doing some adjustments.
It's okay. The most you had was an underwater camera where there's a whole setup. They record you swimming, and then you can watch it, and coach will analyze your movements and your technique and all that kind of stuff. But very different if you have an AI just like telling you exactly where you must fix angles and whatever. And it almost
I would be curious to see exactly what this, exactly what the data looks like or how this is helpful.
Right. Well, I just think eventually coaching and stuff will become obsolete. Coaching won't be more about technique. It'll be more about motivation. It'll be more about
just to have a pal.
Yeah, it'll be like just someone to really get you amped, because the
logistics
help you sort of
analyze the data.
Analyze the
coaches
data with
will be
you, sure,
less They may be less, connected or skilled at the sport,
less
and
X's and O's.
More skilled at reading the data, interpreting the data into movement, that kind of stuff.
Right. So anyway,
yeah, watch out. We talk about robots coming for our jobs. Athletic coaches, you're not immune to this issue.
Good opportunity to for us to have like a little, do you remember those robot arms, the arm wrestling arms at the arcade?
Yeah.
Man, I want to go back and I'll really examine.
Just a quick nostalgia check-in there.
In
this
the Flippy context.
Nostalgia check-in with Canary Grinding Stock.
In the context of Flippy, I want to go back and re-examine those things,
Sure.
See where they're at. Over the top.
Okay. Head over to Dave and Buster's. Got to go into the back room, the dusty. You'll pull the sheet off of the dusty robots and reconnect with an ancient art form of robot arm wrestling.
Yeah. You know what people should do is go to canarycry.party. Find the live stream, email list, street team posters, other Canarians, and all the ways you can produce the show right there at canarycry.party.
Go check it out. You can also find another place to watch the show. You're going to need it. And I wanted to do a real quick pitch for Ravel. If you guys don't know, I'll let you know now. And if you already know and haven't checked it out, you should go check it out. Ravel is another podcast that I do, exploring the Bible and scripture and society and scandal. And I've teamed up with Dr. Christopher Ryan Gates, who's a PhD in biblical interpretation. And we had a new episode come out last Sunday, which was we were having a conversation with Jay Baker. Jay Baker is the son of Jim and Tammy Faye Baker, who is, of course, not of course, but he's a pastor, but he puts pastor in quotes. And it was a challenging episode for some people, but it was really fun and gives a really interesting perspective, he brings a really interesting perspective on a lot of topics. And again, if you know Ravel, it is not a podcast to listen to if you want to hear things that you agree with, if you don't want to have some assumptions challenged, or if you just want to hear people that you already know about and like and just love hearing them say the things that they say. It's filled with challenging topics, challenging guests. And we just sort of are trying our best to have conversations both with each other and with people we do agree with, but also those who have really different views about not just the world, but also God and Christianity and stuff like that. So go check out Ravel. If you search it on a podcast player, remember there are 2 Ravel podcasts. Yes, they did officially steal our name, and there's a very funny investigation we did about that, where the guy who stole our name actually left us a 1-star review before they started their podcast. And then he stole our name and started his own podcast. But there's 2 Ravel podcasts, the one with the cool logo, with the colorful sort of ball of string, and also my name on it. That's the one to listen to, not the other one. Okay, that's it. We also are starting a new mini-series talking to artists this Sunday. So you'll have a lot of fun with it.
Okay, time to move on here to some politic.
It's Latin for many. Now suck your blood. Politics.
Russia.
Got hairy legs. Got hairy legs.
Joe Biden talking about Russia. Let's set this up. This is one of those Air Force One talks. There's a moment in here, Man, it's another one of those Biden. He just mumbles something. It's I don't know. We'll listen for it.
Okay. How high is the threat of a Russian invasion right now?
It's very high.
Takes mask off.
Very high because they have not.
Clears his throat after taking mask off.
Takes his mask off to cough right in people's faces.
Right into his hand.
It's very high because they have not moved any of their troops out. They've moved more troops in. Number one. Number two, we have reason to believe that they are engaged in a false flag operation to have an excuse to go in.
They're engaged in a false flag operation for an excuse to go in. Okay, just
that's
take note.
A pretty straightforward thing for him to say, huh?
Same thing as the other guy that's been doing the press, Ned. The same kind of thing he's been saying, right, with the whole false flag thing. But
yeah. The ex-CIA
guy. Yeah, continuing here.
Flag operation to have an excuse to go in. Every indication we have is they're prepared to go into Ukraine, attack Ukraine.
Is your sense that this is going to happen now?
Yes. My sense this will happen within the next several days.
Is there any diplomatic path still available?
Is there any diplomatic path still available? Listen to his response here very carefully. I know it's a little hard to hear.
Any diplomatic path still available?
Yes, there is. There's a clear diplomatic path. That's why I asked.
There's a Was he trying to say something there?
Yeah.
I know it's bad to pick on his little gaffes and stuff like that.
Oh, no, I'm saying that the sound of the plane is pretty
The sound
intense.
of the plane is really crazy. But yes, here it is again, just to catch.
Diplomatic path still available?
Yes, there is. There's a clear diplomatic path. That's why I asked Senator.
Okay, one more time.
That's why I asked Senator Secretary Blinken.
Well, let's hear the whole thing.
There's a clear diplomatic path. That's why I asked Senator Secretary Blinken to go to the United Nations and make his statement today. He'll lay out what that path is. I've laid out a path to Putin as well on, I think, Sunday. And so there is a path. There is a way through this.
Are you going to call Putin? Will you speak to Putin? Are you going to call Putin?
I'm not calling Putin. I have no plans to call Putin right now.
Do you think he's made a final decision?
He just walks away. Not a thank you or nothing.
Yeah. But
So-
going back to this, they're going to do a false flag. They're going to do a false flag. So, they're doing a false flag. So then we're going to go in there and it'll be great because they're going to do a false flag, which is really the first, not this moment, but this Russia instance, in geopolitical history, the Ukrainian-Russia issue we're dealing with is like the first time in history that our media and our politicians have even confirmed the existence of the idea of a false flag operation just suddenly after it's been the purview of conspiracy theorists for decades. And now suddenly they're just talking about it from the podium, which I think is interesting because, during Trump would kind of talk about conspiracy theory type of I don't mean specific conspiracy theories,
right.
but he recognized and would say from the podium that, conspiracies happen, and would reference.
He talked about the deep state and stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the swamp,
right? But even he didn't talk about false flags, and now all of a sudden Biden and the CIA guy and all sorts of White House officials talking about false flags. It's incredible. And speaking of false flags, there was an instance this morning, and I'm taking this story from thehill.com. The headline is this was not this morning, it was yesterday morning. Ukrainian ambassador shelling by Russia-backed separatists, a brutal violation of the ceasefire. Ukraine's ambassador to the U.S. called Thursday's shelling of a village school by Russian-backed separatist forces, quote, a brutal violation of the ceasefire agreement. Oksana Markarova told CNN's John Berman that, quote, kids and teachers were present when the separatists forces bombed the Stansia Lugansk in the Lugansk region of Ukraine, which damaged a musical school. Quote, the fact is the Russian-led and backed forces shelled the village, she said. There is a Russian side of the story, which is not correct. As tensions build up over a possible Russian invasion of Ukraine, fighting broke out on Thursday. Alarming nations across the world, both Ukrainian forces and Russian-backed rebels, accused each other on Thursday of firing across a ceasefire line with in eastern Ukraine. The so-called Luhansk People's Republic, a rebel region, said Ukraine used mortars, grenade launchers, and a machine gun in 4 different incidents. Ukraine accused the separatist forces of village bombing. The U.S. has previously warned, and this is the great part, the U.S. has previously warned Russia could stage a false flag operation as a pretext to invade Ukraine, as about 150,000 troops have gathered at the border of the country. Markarova said there is currently immense pressure in the region, but did not directly say whether Russia would invade the nation any day now, as U.S. intelligence has warned. Quote, let me repeat, we have lived under this threat for the past 8 years, she said. Quote, our assessment of the risk is the same. Ukrainians cannot afford to panic, but we are getting prepared to defend our country. End of the article. So to summarize, we have the U.S. saying, oh, Russia, they're going to do a false flag. And then you have this incident in Ukraine where there's reports where the Ukraine attacked this rebel region with mortars, grenade launchers, and machine guns. And there's reports from the Ukraine about this Russian-backed rebel group
that retaliated and
they don't put a timeline on it, but they say that they shelled a school,
right?
Which they only ever say shell, which I don't know if I know an official definition of that, but it makes me think mortars or something, some sort of explosive. And some of the pictures floating around showed a lot of sort of explosive damage. Now they want to connect this incident with
the Russian false
flag, the Russian false flag. And I don't know if they know what the words false flag means, Gons, because false flag is when something happens that is reported to be either for some reason or by someone that isn't the true reason or the true person, someone, And so if they are saying that the Russian-backed rebels attacked a school, and this is a Russian false flag,
it means
this is not a Russian false flag. A Russian false flag would have been Russia bombing their own school and saying that the Ukrainians
did it. Yeah.
Logically, the only way this could be a false flag is if the Ukrainians bombed their own school and blamed it on the Russians. That is a false flag.
I mean, if the U.S. is backing, the U.S. is backing Ukraine here, and the U.S. intelligence has been saying for several days that Russia is preparing a false flag, and then all of a sudden there's reports of Russia attacking.
Exactly.
This is the U.S./Ukraine creating a false flag, calling it a Russian
false flag. And it doesn't even
It's insane. This is like an Inception.
It is such a twisty, turvy, nonsense logic that they want us to believe that this is a Russian false flag. There's 2 options. Either, the Russian rebels bombed the school.
Yeah.
And that's not a false flag, but it is just Russian rebels bombing a school. Or not Russia bombed a school, and the false flag is blaming it on Russia. I know it's so twisted and so hard to really parse accurately.
You have to chart it. You have to put a mind map.
Yes, we should. We do need a chart to really do this.
Yeah.
But the fact that they are calling this the Russian false flag shows a couple of things. Shows, number one, basically what we've been saying all along, that the fact that they're even saying this means the U.S. is going to do a false flag.
Yeah.
And 2, they don't have enough respect for the American people to know that we will know that this doesn't even fit the definition of a false flag.
Not only that, for those, the many who pay attention to U.S. government history and all that, it's almost like the U.S., Ukraine is like, maybe there's tension here, whatever. Can you help us? And America's like, well, we'll do what we know best, which is the false flag, but be a little obvious. So we should just tell everyone that the Russians are doing a false flag.
Yeah,
it's just so bizarre and crazy.
It's so
but
bizarre.
It fits the pattern of how the U.S., not just the U.S., but just the globalists start wars, start tensions.
Oh yeah,
this is how they do it. They create, they manufacture a crisis, and then there are ample reasons to move in militarily or whatever because of that crisis.
It is unbelievable that the words false flag came out of Biden's mouth.
Unreal, right?
It's unreal. I don't know if that's fully hitting with people, but the fact that the president of the United States is talking about
Russia
the concept of a false flag is so profound.
Let's hear Biden again, just one more time, dude.
Sure.
Make sure.
Any of their troops out, they've moved more troops in.
Well, that point too, he said the troops moved out, more troops moved in. 3 or 4 days ago, it was, the Russian troops moved out. It's de-escalating. And then the day after, it was like, more troops came back in. It's, okay. All right. Just playing with our emotions.
Number one. Number two, we have reason to believe that they are engaged in a false flag operation to have an excuse to go in.
False flag operation.
I don't think that Biden is fully privy to everything. I think. Well,
he probably doesn't retain it either anyway.
You're right. You're right. That's what I'm saying. I don't think when he is saying this, I don't even think he realized that he shouldn't say it, or what it even means. I believe he thinks there might actually be a false flag, because this is how it works with this sort of thing. Remember going back to Bush. Bush actually believed that there was weapons of mass destruction. Yeah. His intelligence guys, his military experts, his advisors, this invented idea that there was weapons of mass destruction. He was convinced of that because everybody around him, we didn't have a name for it at the time, but now people would call it a deep state, convinced the president that there was ample reason based on false evidence to go invade the Middle East. And, Bush was a lot of things, but I do not believe that he was privy that the weapons of mass destruction was a fake thing, was a false flag type of thing. Right. I think Biden is surrounded by people who are telling him, Russia's going to do a false flag, sir. That's what's going to happen. You better get ready for it. You better be prepared to take action. And I think he's totally bought in. He's just got
you need him to be for him to speak on it in what appears to be sincerely.
Right. I
mean, he does appear sincere.
In the classic presidential puppet fashion.
Right.
And the one president that we've had in a while who I think everybody can admit wasn't the normal type of deep state puppet was Trump. And surprise, surprise, he's the one guy that didn't start a war during his time in office. Again, I'm not interested in defending Trump's time in office. That's this is a longer conversation to be had about that. But you can at least say the dude did not listen to anybody who tried to get him to start a war. And so this is I just can't believe that the Hill even is not, or that they are playing into this connection.
They don't. I mean, in some regard, I guess they're just repeating what they're being told.
Again, not that I have any extra respect for the Hill or anything,
but they are supposedly more conservative, right-leaning outlet. So,
and it's just the media. But the media no longer is interested in reporting facts, except for Matt Lee, who actually was the only reporter to push back against this whole idea of a Russian false flag. Everybody else is just parroting government talking points. The media, including the Hill, is not in the business of journalism. They're in the business of passing on government propaganda.
It feels like a good indicator of where the American public, at the very least, is when it comes to knowledge about how things work. Because we've had this wave of awakeness, and the psyop is very clear now that a lot of conservatives and Republicans, right-wing people, really got pumped with Trump. Some of them got siphoned off into the Q thing, and they're really they're following this idea of people getting arrested, and all these bad people are out there. They're going to go down, and all that kind of stuff. But I forget where I was going with that.
Sometimes we just start a sentence and we don't know where it's going.
I had a point about just something else, but I don't know.
Okay.
It had something to do with Biden and Ukraine.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, I just can't believe that he continues to inflame the situation.
I remember now. Okay, so yeah, it's a good indicator of where the public is in terms of knowledge about these things, because, we have had, quote unquote, an awakening in the last 4 years where a bunch of people realize that, hey, what we're being told is not true. So at that level, like, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, you're right, something is wrong here. But then they can pull off something like this where they bring up false flag, and really the only people talking about it are people like us and other independent, media folk who are just, who know about it, who've talked about it for years, and are like, hey, why is the president saying this all of a sudden? We're the ones breaking it down. The mainstream media is just spoon feeding the same kind of stuff that they were doing before Trump when it comes to the Republicans.
It's like they're taking advantage of the new awakening. They're like, 100%. All these people are waking up. They realize that there is something called a false flag. Our polling shows that we can now talk about false flags without getting extra heat. All the heat is there.
Attention. Yeah.
We can't add any extra heat, but what we can do is take advantage of people's newness to this information, where they've heard the term false flag. They kind of know that it's like, a thing that happens to justify another thing, and they aren't quite doused in the knowledge enough to know that, wait a second, if Russia did a false flag, then how would we be blaming Russia? What I mean? Like parsing the details.
Right.
It's just like one level of complexity that they expect the public won't be able to distinguish.
Yeah.
They're masters of manipulation.
Very good at what they do.
Speaking of masters of manipulation.
Oh no.
We got to check in with old Susan Wojcicki.
Susan. Hi, Susan. I was debating whether to do this during the YouTube hour or YouTube live stream segment of the show.
But I think it's relevant.
And also, I realized, I didn't know this, there is a very large contingency of Susan hate on YouTube. There's just straight up videos with millions of views of like, how Susan ruined YouTube and how Susan is destroying the world. And those people are allowed to stay up. I didn't do any deep dive on them, but they can make videos like that, get millions of views, but we say something.
Yeah, because that doesn't put anybody at risk.
Yeah,
nobody's going to lose profit if people are making fun of Susan. That's not what it's about.
Susan came out with a video a couple weeks ago. It's the whole thing about what they're going to do in 2022. It's like a 6-minute video. I cut it down to some of the interesting points here. So let's play that first.
We've been working to expand the opportunities available to creators to connect with our audiences.
Except for people like us.
Quick?
People like us, yeah.
Except for, and our audience. Keep in mind, Susan won the free speech award last year.
Right.
She won a medal of an international award for being a warrior for free speech.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind as we go through this.
Connect with our audiences. And there are now 10 different ways for creators to make money on YouTube. And more creators are earning money from our non-ads products than ever before.
Yay.
We're also looking further ahead to help creators capitalize on emerging technologies, including NFTs, while enhancing the experience creators and fans have on YouTube. We're giving creators more control.
She's giving us more control, Basil. Did you hear that?
Okay, we get more control. I love it.
We're giving creators more control, and we're working behind the scenes to look hard at our policies and make sure that we're drawing the line in the right places. And we're also hiring more people so we can expand our experiment to provide creators more detail about policy violations like timestamps.
Okay. What in the world is she talking about? Am I missing something?
Why is timestamps violations?
I have no idea why she said that. I'm very confused.
Can you play it again?
Yeah,
I'd like to hear that.
This was not edited. And by the way, the whole time she's talking about, there's like a ball that's being balanced on a pyramid, and there's worse stuff later. Hold on.
To provide creators more detail, and we're also hiring more people so we can expand our experiment to provide creators more detail about policy violations like timestamps.
You didn't edit that.
I didn't edit it. I knew you were going to ask that. I did not edit that.
It sounds like there almost is a little edit in there.
I know. It's very weird. I have no idea what.
Violation like timestamps.
Like timestamps. What? I have no clue. Anyway, it must be whoever edited this for her, like, messed up or something. I have no idea. That doesn't make any sense. But anyway, there's a little bit more here.
And here are a few areas that we're investing in this year.
Sustainability.
This year, we'll continue to support environmentally focused creators to amplify positive climate content on our platform. It was amazing to see a group of creators help make the United Nations Climate Change Conference accessible to everyone. We experimented with removing the dislike counts across millions of videos over many months. And every way we looked at it, we...
By the way, the graphics here is one giant eye.
Across millions of videos over many months. And every way we looked at it, we did not see a meaningful difference in viewership, regardless of whether or not there was a public dislike count. And importantly, it reduced dislike attacks. We're also exploring ways to provide
dislike attacks. Yeah, I remember that.
Thanks, Susan. Real great stuff there.
Saving the world.
And we've talked about transparency, right?
Yeah.
It reduced dislike attacks. We're also exploring ways to provide more transparency.
Regulatory landscape. This is kind of the big kicker.
Yeah.
We'll continue to reach out to government officials to discuss issues that are a priority for viewers, creators, and artists on our platform. And it's important that policymakers understand how their decisions could impact the growing creator economy. The proposed Digital Services Act in the European Union could have unintended consequences for online speech. We support the goal to create a unified digital consumer protection framework across member states, but some provisions could make it more difficult for YouTube to help users find high-quality content that meets their interest. We will continue to work with the EU member states as they incorporate Article 17 and the EU Copyright Directive into local laws. Thank you to all the creators whose engagement has helped ensure that the law will be workable. Thank you so much.
So it's very interesting that she wants to sort of lean into regulations and sort of be an arbiter of like how YouTube can benefit best from regulations.
Yeah, well, and there's some quotes here in the attached article.
Which, by the way, real quick, before we talk about this article or read the article,
sure.
I have a feeling this article was made by an AI.
It feels like it.
I have that gut feeling, so just keep that in mind. And also, some of the insights of what this article gets into is very interesting, considering Face Like the Sun channel being taken down, Canary Cry radio channel being taken down, Canary Cry News Talk getting into trouble, sort of the visual of what that looks like, how we even get into that pile of people.
Did you want to read the whole thing? I was going to skip. So they go through, they spend like, oh my gosh, so much of the article talking about their automated moderation system.
Yeah.
Which is nothing really new and not that exciting.
Yeah.
But, when it comes to the legal moderation that they're sort of working towards, I'm kind of skipped down here to get to that point.
Okay. The one thing let me just mention one thing about earlier that, you mentioned the 100% automated system. Mm-hmm. So it's just, I had this visual when I was reading this of there's all these creators, right? And old Susan is looking over. And so she has these robots. How am I ever going to wade through all this content? So she has these little robots, scanning all the words. And then anything with bad words, it gets picked out. Like a claw comes down and like grabs that channel and brings it to a human. And the human gets to decide, which is interesting because there's already a bias built in. If you get pulled out of the masses and a human has to look at it, psychologically, you're already like, oh, what did these guys violate?
These are already suspects.
They're already suspect, yeah.
You're looking, a robot thought that you were a bad person.
Right.
I'll take a look at this, but they're already predisposed to thinking that it's a violation or whatever.
And then one more thing, why does this article have a bunch of pictures from the Age of Ultron?
Yeah.
Is that just part of the AI coming up with photos from the database?
The article is chock-a-block full of comic book pictures of Marvel stuff. There's Captain America all tied up. There's Ultron and his robots flying around.
Destroying cities.
Yeah, there's Captain America like going on monologues and like some actually kind of graphic ones of like Ultron shooting lasers through people and you can like see their bodies ripping apart and stuff. I have no idea why these are the images, unless they're trying to make the comparison of like, our moderation robots are like Ultron here to cleanse the earth of malcontents and these filthy humans. We'll shoot them with our lasers.
And of course, for those of you who stick around to the end of the episodes, are familiar with our Ultron ISO.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
Ask Noah.
Just to zoom through some of the comments about the big thing about this article, which is Susan like reaching out to governments asking for more laws to enforce.
Yeah.
So I'm skipping down here. I'm under the big picture of Captain America in the middle. After briefly detailing how their content moderation system works, Kettleman asked her, to Susan, "You've mentioned the important position that YouTube has in how to deal with content, whether to downrank it, to demonetize it, depending on the jurisdiction you're in. In some countries like Germany, courts have taken a rather strong position on the limits of what platforms can do, whether they must not act arbitrarily, or that they have to stick to their standards and implement them." And what they're referring to is Germany, defending like free speech on the internet,
right?
Which is antithetical to what Susan's trying to do here. He added, asking the question, "So how does that work in practice? Perhaps you can elaborate a bit on that. How do you make sure that in light of the many different jurisdictions you have to navigate this minefield between national jurisdictions, between keeping advertisers happy, between keeping users interested?" I mean, listen to that. The question is, how do you, become a thought police for governments? How do you keep advertisers happy? How do you keep the money flowing? And remember, advertisers making their money on the psychological manipulation of users, and even adds in there, between keeping users interested, not keeping users happy, not keeping users, with a healthy dose of diversity of thoughts, not anything.
Or truth.
Keeping them interested, which is code for keeping them on the platform so advertisers make more money.
Addicted. Yeah. Just a side note, Basil, this Age of Ultron picture that's after that little paragraph you read, there's a quote, "So all we have to do is sneak out of the city and find a way to the South Pole. That's all."
Dun, dun, dun.
South Pole, dude. Antarctica again. What's the deal? Why is Ultron going to Antarctica?
Antarctica showing up in the Susan Wojcicki article.
Okay, so Wojcicki responds.
In response, Wojcicki stated, quote, "First of all, I'll say that the work around the globe, and you're right, certainly there are many different laws and many different jurisdictions, and we enforce the laws of the very..." She's just audibly stalling right now because she doesn't know how to answer.
There are states.
Yes.
There are countries.
There are laws and there are jurisdictions, and we do laws and various jurisdictions around speech or what's considered safe or not safe. Not legal or not legal, just safe or not safe. That's true for democratically elected governments. It might get a little bit more complicated in non-democratically democratically governments. Susan, So basically, we enforce those laws. So they're just saying, yeah, we follow the law. If it's democracy, they have their laws. If it's China, we follow their laws. Don't post about the Uyghurs.
We got Basil. We got to do our own jurisdiction.
Okay.
With our own laws.
Okay.
And then Susan will have to comply to our laws in our jurisdiction.
Okay, so we just need to start our own country, Gons. You've figured it out. You've solved the riddle of how to stop getting kicked off YouTube.
That's all. That's all we got to do. We got to get to South Antarctica.
Yes,
Carve out some icebergs and call it our own.
That's right. Got to mistake a claim. Her answer continues. That actually hasn't been the controversial part. What has been the controversial part has been when there is content that would be deemed as harmful, but yet is not illegal. An example of that, for example, would be COVID. I'm not aware of there being laws by government around COVID in terms of not being able to debate the efficacy of masks or where the virus came from or the right treatment or proposal she stated.
Oh, my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
There are no laws, so what? Let me be the arbiter of law.
And that's what they have been doing. They've been their own arbiter. It's not even about laws. But yet there was a lot of pressure and concern about us distributing misinformation that went against what was considered the standard and accepted medical knowledge. So this category of harmful but legal has been, I think, where most of the discussion has been, which Jiki added. For us,
okay, hold on.
You can't stop every time, man.
All right,
we got to get to the good stuff. We only have 5 more minutes. For us, we look at what that content and we think about the role that we play in society. We want to be doing the right thing for our users and our creators. No mention of the advertisers or the government there, Jiki. Quote, we also generate revenue from advertisers. And if we are serving content that is seen by our advertising community as not benefiting society, no advertiser is going to want to appear on that. And they're certainly not going to even want to appear on a different, content that is positive if they think the platform as a whole is not being responsible. It's all about the advertisers, folks, which Jiki continued. So we are generally very aligned. Responsibility is good for our business, and we have over 2 million creators on our platform that we share revenue with. So if we aren't generating revenue for them, then that's a problem for our creators. They create beautiful and incredible content. We share the majority of the revenue with them. Yeah, whatever.
No, I would love to see the percentages being handed out.
Next, she stated, I think governments can always, our recommendation if governments want to have more control of online speech is to pass laws, to have that be very cleanly and clearly defined such that we can implement it. There are times that we see the laws being implemented or being suggested that they're not necessarily clean or possible for us to cleanly interpret them. She's not that great of like an orator.
Either that or this AI is having a real hard time interpreting.
I think this is word for word. I think this is word, an AI wouldn't do that to a quote. I think that this is word for word, and she's just stumbling around.
Yeah.
And we've also seen sometimes there's laws passed just for the internet as opposed to for all speech, which Jiki detailed. I do think that's a dangerous area when we start to get in and say, oh, sure, you could say something like this in a magazine or on TV, but you can't say that on the internet. Yeah, no kidding. And that's where they end it. That's where they end it right there. But yeah, so this is where she was sort of like, yeah, hey, you go make a law. She wants the government to make a law so she doesn't have to make these decisions. She doesn't have to get the heat for taking down debate about masks or debate about COVID cures or treatments or therapeutics or something.
She does. There is an air of defensiveness that I can sense from the quotes. It's like, it's not me. I'm just siding with the consensus. I'm just doing.
And it's all about the advertisers. I mean, she throws in that little thing about like, oh, we share revenue with the creators. Yeah, when you want to, and then you don't. You don't when you don't want to. That's right. I mean, that's the whole thing. You can choose at any point to not share revenue with people you don't want to. And so when you say, oh, we got to take care of the people we share revenue with. Yeah, you do. You do got to take care of them. But more than anything, they're taking care of you. They're the one making the content, bringing people to your platform. They're the ones who are, keeping you at the top of the food chain as far as its platform stuff.
Yeah.
And, to her, it's all about the advertisers. And that's an example of why advertising, the industry as a whole, is a sickness on this country. We say it all the time. So much of the problems with free speech and, scientific, scientific consensus and all this, it's all based around the advertisers. Because if you let people argue masks, if you let people argue ivermectin, if you let people argue these things, then the advertisers don't want to be involved. It's not about, Biden calling up Wojcicki and telling her to cancel, vaccine, whatever, episodes of podcasts. It's not about that. It's about the advertisers. It's the justification. Advertising is a sickness, a blight on this world. It's the reason that Facebook and Google are invading our privacy, sending our data to China, making, psychological profiles of us that they sell to advertisers. And it's the reason for a lot of the free speech problems is because the advertisers don't want to hear it. And that's why we don't advertise.
100%. And just to wrap things up with that.
That was wrapped
Susan,
up. It's time to take a break.
All right. Okay. I'll just forget my point then.
What's your point?
It's all right. It's okay. Nobody wants to hear my point. We're good.
Really? That's what you're doing?
It wasn't that important.
Oh, okay. Well, if you say so. We're taking a break, folks. Just a quick break. And another reminder for you YouTube viewers over there, you're going to need to find another platform in order to watch the second half of the show. But we're going to take a quick break and thank some producers. And you know it. You love it. We have no advertising on this show, no affiliate codes, not selling any merch, not doing nothing like that, folks. We are entirely supported by the producers of the show. And that's right. I said producers because we are on the value for value model, which is simple. What we do is make this show and then we collect all your data and then we sell it to companies. And then those companies use your data to create advertisements to psychologically manipulate you in order to convince you to spend money you don't have on things you don't want or need, all for the benefit of some sort of dark global miasma of evil that will continue to put profits above people. Oh, I'm sorry. I got that confused. That's the advertising industry. That's what Wojcicki does. We're on the value for value model, which is we create value. We do it the very best we can, and we do it as often as we can. And if you get any value out of what we do, you have the opportunity to put some value back in. And it's not some sort of charity. It's not some sort of quid pro quo. It's not some sort of, I don't know. There's no shame or guilt or whatever involved. But all it is the people who recognize the state of the world, especially the state of information flow, how it's controlled, how decisions are made, and those aspects not being to our benefit. The people who realize that recognize that it's all of our responsibility to support independent media that we get value out of, because nobody else is going to support them. The advertising companies, they're not going to put a value on this show. The only people deciding the value of this show is you, dear listener. And you can become a producer by heading to patreon.com/CCNT or canarycryradio.com/support.
That is a good place. Here we go.
Canary DelayedCryRadio.com/support.
That's right. By the way, Guns, you can't throw little tantrums like that, man. Now people are blaming me for not getting to hear your thing. Okay? We have a timer. We agreed to the timer.
I know. That's why I dropped it. That was the whole thing.
Okay, you did not just drop it, though. Oh my gosh! Roll back the tape. Okay. You can't. I'm just saying you can't do that because people think that it's me bullying you out of doing your thing.
No. Basil was not bullying me. I was just
emails. I get the messages.
All right, I hear you
so often.
Okay.
So take it back. Tell the people what happened.
Okay. Well, don't email him.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move forward. Here we go. Yes, we're going to thank some producers. These are people who decided that they want to keep this show going regardless of what Susan and the advertisers think about it. And again, I want to thank our executive producer for this show, Gons, and that is executive producer Michael W.
Thank you, Michael W.
Oh my gosh. It's happening. It's happening. Michael W., thank you so much for being the executive producer. Yeah, let's give him that jingle. Where'd you find this?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you wanted me to do that again or not.
Yeah, we might as well. We should play jingles as often as possible. Comes in with a big fat executive producership. Thank you, Michael W. It comes in a nice big round number, and which is a good opportunity to let people know when you produce the show, if you come in as a round number, like a normal number, we don't read the amount. We always lean towards anonymity. But if you don't mind us reading the amount, throw a little signal in there, a little numerical signal. Some people throw in 33 cents or something, some number that means something. But thank you very much, Michael W. He sent in a note here that reads, AOD, Age of Deceit, got me to you guys. Been listening since 2012, Canary Cry episode number 1.
Wow.
Old school dude here. Thank you, Michael. Hey, does Basil's dad work for NASA? Asking for a friend. Smiley face. I don't catch the live show often, but I listen on Stitcher. You both do great work. God bless Mike Wags. Wizen 1984. Wizen 1984. Thank you very much, Michael. And, if my dad worked for NASA, I wouldn't be able to tell you anyways. So, sorry.
Yeah, unlikely, though.
Unlikely. No, he left NASA and he works for SpaceX now. Oh, Tesla pays way more than the government jobs.
You mean Elon?
Yes. What did I say?
You said Tesla.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Elon, he pays better. Thank you very much, Michael.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate the executive producership there. Associate executive producers, Mary Christine and Road Racer. Are we doing that, or are we going to just leave them because they're part of the...
They are. I'm going to do them now because they are the associate executive producer. Yes, you are executive associate producer for this episode. Okay, we got to thank these two lovely producers as our associate executives. They did sort of a thing, like a kind of complicated. I'm going to try to work my way through it. They actually came in as a supply drop producer, which is very nice, which was wonderful. And then they came in with $66.66 plus fees on both of them, which technically brought them up above the $100 mark, which qualified them for associate executive. And they sent a note here that says, this is to make up for January and February. Our resolution was to donate $33.33 a month. Keep up the great work. Please do a COVID-19 jingle because we love the bass. Mary Christine and Road Racer.
COVID-19, 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 yes. COVID-19, COVID-19,
Coronavirus. Thank you very much, Mary Christine and Road Racer, our associate executive producers for the day. And thank you also for signing up for the supply drop.
Yeah.
Speaking of which.
Supply drop time?
Supply drop. That's right, CanaryCrySupplyDrop.com. Go check it out. It's our 2022 producer thank you campaign where you can receive supply drops 4 times a year, once per quarter. We're putting together unique, exclusive, cool items based on the show. Some of it's apparel, accessories, collectibles, pins, survival gear, all sorts of and the ARG. Yes, the augmented reality game that you can play along with the show. It's an excellent opportunity for us to express ourselves through cool items and objects and treasures and totems, but also a cool opportunity for our producers to feel the love as they commit to producing the show on a monthly basis. And we get to send them these free gifts. Go to CanaryCrySupplyDrop.com to learn more. And we got a few people to thank, Gons. This was a nice little collection of supply drop producers. Yeah, it's been a little slow recently.
When's the cutoff date for receiving it? Q1?
Coming up fast. What is it, the 18th? 10 more days.
Okay.
The cutoff for this first quarter shipment is in 10 days. So if you want to receive the very first Canary Cry supply drop, a historic moment in the Canarium, you should sign up in the next 10 days, or else you'll be out of luck. You'll gotta wait till the next one. So starting with supply drop producer Adam M.
Thank you, Adam M.
Yeah, it comes in with the 33s and fees. Next up, we've got producer Joshua D.
Joshua D, thank you very much.
Adds the fees on there too. Thank you. Next, we've got Mark H.
Mark Hamill?
Mm-hmm, it's Mark Hamill. He's here.
Star Wars?
Yes,
Luke?
He says, trust your feelings and the Force, I guess.
Sure.
I forget.
Yeah, thanks, Mark H.
You're not my daddy, man. Robot man. Next up, we've got Producer
Toph. Thank you, Toph.
There he is, Producer Toph, 33s and fees. And of course, we had Mary Christine and Road Racer coming in. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
That concludes our Canary Cry Supply Droppers. Again, you can learn all about it at CanaryCrySupplyDrop.com. We are so close to hitting our goal of getting 100 people signed up by February 28th. We still got a little ways to go. It's not guaranteed. At last count, we are about 20 people away, but I think we can do it. I think we can make it by the 28th. And the reason we set that goal is because once we get 100 people signed up, we can start ordering in bulk. And you get cheaper prices when you order in bulk, which means we can spend, we get cooler stuff. We can get more expensive things created. So it's value for value for value. You support the show, you support your own desire for cool stuff, and it ups the value of the items for all the producers. CanaryCrySupplyDrop.com.
That's right.
Waiting for supply drop.
Okay, we got some more producers to thank here.
Who do we got?
Start off with Little Winged One.
Yay, she's back. Thank you, Little Winged One, coming in with her. I think that's a monthly thing she does there. And nice round number, but a note here. Hello, my dudes. Basil, I was wondering, does our hobby as roller skaters make us skatinists? And should we start a skatanic fellowship? XO, Little Winged One. It's funny. I think that is a very funny thing to do. I have a feeling that we will make too many people angry. but like most skatanists and skatanic fellowships, it would have to be sort of a secret society anyways.
Yeah. Better watch out for those roller skaters with black cloaks.
Yes, and their knives. Rolling around there, just looking for someone to sacrifice to the skating.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Little Winged One. And yes, I've seen Little Winged One chatting in the chat about how she also roller skates, and happy to be in the same secret society as you, Little Winged One.
Howdy, partner.
Do you even dare?
Next up, we have David M.
David M. Again, coming in with a nice round number. Thank you very much, David M. I did not see a note.
I didn't either. Thank you, David M. Next up, we have Matthew M.
Matthew M. also coming in with a nice round number. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Next, Andreas O.
Andres O. also coming in with a nice round number and some fees. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andreas.
Yeah, it's, I think what happened was people were happy to see us back on YouTube.
Yeah.
There was a noticeable difference between producerships from not being on YouTube and being back on YouTube.
Looks like there's already a church of skating in Santa Barbara.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Is it a roller? Is it a rink?
I don't know. See, Sean said it in YouTube.
Okay.
All right, next up we have Morv.
Morv is on a streak. 56 episodes in a row. My goodness, Morv coming in with 2222 plus fees and a note that says Happy Friday. Good old Monsters Inc. Had to rewatch it after Wednesday's episode. Still really enjoyed it, but it's definitely one of those Pixar movies that has an entirely different meaning now. Hope everyone has a great weekend. God bless. Yep.
Yeah. You got portals, you got corporations, you got
children being harvested for their life force. Yeah. It's all sorts of nasty stuff.
Isn't that interesting? How so much of our entertainment is chock full of some crazy things. But
thank you very much, producer Morv. Check your accounting, Morv. Get back to me.
Get out your calculator, Morv. All right, next up we have Puddin'22.
Puddin'22 is back and hitting that 3-episode streak, Puddin'. That means you're heating up.
He's heating up.
She's heating up.
Yeah, she's on a streak.
Women rule.
Went in with 1078 plus fees and a note. Yes, you're too smart for me, Basil. It is only a matter of time before my human finds out I've confiscated the credit card. I may have to find other means of support, i.e. cat treats. Puddin'22. Yes, that's right. Puddin'22 has stolen the credit card of their, not owner, more like patron, and has been producing the show. So thank you, Puddin'22. We love our cat producers.
Thank you very much, Puddin'22. Next up, we have Heather Sir Russ.
Heather Sir Russ is on a 60-episode streak, which... That's right. That streak has upgraded you to the Will Ferrell streaking jingle. Thank you, Heather Sir Russ, coming in with the 1001.
Oh, I forgot about that one. Yeah, sorry about that. Less snappy. I was already preparing for her little thing.
1001. Amen.
And a note, Happy Friday Day.
Oh, man. I'm really not prepared for this one, apparently.
Oh, yeah, it's okay. I can keep going if you want.
Hold on.
You can add it to the cacophony here in a second.
Okay.
Happy Friday Day. Can we get 3 random jingles? Thanks and much love, East Side.
It's Friday, day. It's Friday, day. It's Friday. It's Friday, day.
Yeah, no, I understand. Well, there you go. We can keep playing with the Friday thing.
Ivermectin. I got COVID. Ivermectin. All kinds of meds. Ivermectin. Everything. Ivermectin.
Zionist pain.
Never do it, Slim Jim.
Wow, that was an exciting one.
A lot going on there.
Thank you very much, Heather Soros.
Ooh, Heather Soros.
Yeah, somebody in the chat said it, and I like it.
Transform. The evolution continues.
The evolution continues.
Yeah. All right, next up we have Joy T.
Joy T.
Thank you,
coming
Joy.
In with a nice round number and no note. Thank you very much, Joy.
Thank you, Joy. Next up we have Sir Sigra the Beast.
Sir Sigra the Beast is on an 8.
Sorry, jumped the gun a little bit there.
That's all right. 8-episode streak coming in with the 1001.
Yes.
1001. Amen.
Says, I sold my stock in the company that got bought out a few days ago for a little more than the buyout price and put it into PG today. Might as well. It was an all-cash buyout, so there's no chance of getting shares in the company. Interesting.
In the new company.
I guess. Yeah, I don't know. This is we're following the sort of journey of Sir Sigra with some of his big market moves recently.
Well, when there's consolidation of companies, when they get eaten up, that is a good question. Do they? I mean, I guess in this occasion,
I think you just get cash.
You just. I don't know. Do you have to do that? Do you get liquidated if you don't? Like, what is it? It's just
they just buy it out, I guess.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know. That's what I would assume. If it's an all cash buyout, they just liquidate your shares at whatever
crazy,
price.
Man. That's crazy.
I guess. I don't know though. I'm just kind of making that up.
Set that stop loss.
Yeah. Well, apparently it worked out good for him.
Yeah.
He made a bunch of money on it.
Well, yeah,
so good for you, Sir Sigra.
Good job, buddy.
All
right. Next up, we have Palmer B.
Palmer B is on a streak.
Yeah,
she's on a streak.
Women rule.
I'm just double checking the streak number. Yep, 25 episodes in a row. Thank you, Palmer B. Coming in with the 1001.
1001. Amen.
Says, happy Friday. I hope Cody is feeling better. Basil, are you ever going to give skates a second chance instead of the blades? That's a great question. To be completely honest, I think the skates are cooler. Like, I like the look of skates cooler.
Well, rollerblades kind of had their moment, and then they got associated with they're a
little bit X Games-y for me. They're a little bit more sporty for me.
I was thinking more of the other team, if you're a guy, kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, the fruit booters.
The fruit. There you go. Yeah, that's a good.
I don't know
nice
if we're not allowed to say that or not, but
I don't know. I just don't want to offend anybody.
I had a buddy who was a good roller skater when I was a teen, and he would say that himself. So I don't know.
There you go. Yeah.
Anyways, I never understood why that was the correlation, but I do like the looks of skates a little bit more when you know it's got that retro feel. Honestly, the blades. I just received the blades as a Christmas present, and I wanted to stop renting, so I just started doing the blades. It was not really a choice that I made. So anyways, yeah, if I get some skates someday, if a producer wants to send some skates to the P.O. box, then yeah, I'll give the skates a try for sure. Thank you, Palmer B.
Yeah, there's a whole Reddit thread on why rollerblading became associated with the gay community. So it's a debate even amongst the people online. So,
whoa! Imagine that. Even people on Reddit arguing about something.
All right. Thank you very much, Palmer B. Next up, we have Sir Scott, Knight of Truth.
There he is. Sir Scott, Knight of Truth, is on a streak.
Yeah!
Super streak.
Oh, yeah!
Thank you so much. 110 episodes in a row. Woo. So close to that 111. Sir Scott, thank you for the pocket full of sevens.
Thank you very much. And let's see. Oh, we have Robert R.
And let's see here. He was kind of a latecomer today, and I think he's on a streak. Yeah, 2 episode streak.
Did it look familiar?
Thank you, Robert R. Coming in with sevens and fees.
All right. Thank you, Robert Redford.
One more, and he's got that heating up.
Yep. All right. And then last one before the cutoff here, Sir Casey, the Shield Knight.
There he is. Sir Casey, you know he's on a streak.
Yeah!
Oh, yeah! Man, thank you so much. 119 episodes. Wait, that can't be right.
Oh, because he's 10.
Because he's 10 ahead of Sir Scott.
So it should be 120.
Either I miscounted Sir Scott or I miscounted Sir Casey. Sorry, just consulting the book here. Yeah, 120 for Sir Casey. Wow. Okay, there we go. Let me fix the record. Whee! Thank you very much, Sir Casey, the Shield Knight. And let's see. A couple people came in during the show. I'm just going to grab them now. We have a producer coming in. Close one, JC. Producer JC comes in. He's on a streak. You know that.
What is it? What streak was it?
Close call. That is 72 episodes in a row for JC. And he comes in with 2 2002. Oh, that's an interesting one.
Like 1001 twice?
Yeah, that must be it.
1001. 1001. Amen.
There you go. Thank you, JC. And he has a note here. Hey, guys, so sorry I'm coming in late with this. Publicly shame me if you must. Here's a double portion of my usual 1001. Amen. Thank you for all you do. P.S. It's Friday, day. Okay, let's give him the Friday.
It's Friday, day. It's Friday, day. It's Friday. It's Friday, day.
Yeah, no, I understand. Well, there you go. We can keep playing with the Friday thing. All right, and I will hold the public shaming back, JC, because you not only did come in late, but you came in with recompense for your transgression, which we appreciate. Let's see, one more latecomer here.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, there's just a bunch of latecomers.
Yeah,
just want to get out of the way.
Yep.
We have a. This is. Just making sure. This is an interesting one because it was through the supply drop button, but it wasn't quite. We have a one-time producership here from Jason P. Coming in for 33 plus fees.
Illuminatus!
I'm going to send Jason an email. We'll straighten that. I just want to make sure he didn't mean to sign up for supply drop. Okay, that concludes our producers who came in the amount of 777 or more, which entitles them to have a note read on the show. But we've got a few more people who came in under that amount, starting with Jackie U on a 27-episode streak.
Thank you, Jackie U.
She's on a streak. Women rule!
Fees and fees. Next up, we got Child of God on a 55-episode streak.
Thank you, Child of God.
Threes and fees. Next, we've got Doctor Who Done Dat on a 57-episode streak.
Thank you, Doctor.
Threes and fees. Next, we got Streak Sister Gail M on an 86-episode streak. Threes and fees. Thank you, Gail.
Thank you, Gail.
And of course, we got the other Streak Sister, Veronica D, on an 86-episode streak.
Thank you, Veronica.
Last but not least, we've got Runk Smash coming in with the crypto on a 12-episode streak, which is something.
Oh, 12 is Walking on the Sun.
Walking on the Sun.
Is this a crypto? Do I look like I know what a crypto is?
What is a crypto?
Oh, you know what? Toph is reminding us. He did send us a shorter Friday day jingle for the thing.
Yes.
I forgot about that.
We should start using
put
that one
on the list.
Okay.
I think for the producer segment, yeah.
Good idea.
Okay, that concludes all of our oh my gosh, no. Okay, that concludes all of our financial producers. I thought so, but it was a payment. It was us paying for something, not us getting paid. That concludes all of our financial producers for today. Our treasure producers, thank you all so much. You're the only reason we can keep this show going the way we are going now. And remember, anybody out there, if you want to become a producer, put some value back in, become a member of the team, operate within this new economic system that doesn't rely on big international corporations to steal our data, invade our privacy, and subtly manipulate our psychology for their own personal gain, just so we can have an independent show. If you're on board, become a producer by heading over to patreon.com/CCNT, or even better, canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
And thank you for your patronage.
Shut up and take my money.
Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage.
Please leave a message after the tone.
record your message.
Leave a message.
Beep. Yes, you can leave us a voice message, which we love to listen to. You can go to canarycrynewstalk.com, and on the right-hand side of the page, there's a green little tab sticking out. Click on that tab. You'll see it. It's easy. Leave us a message. You can do any number of things. Just say hi, give a shout-out, do a funny impression of a celebrity who loves the show or hates the show. And, whatever you want. Or leave your own report, news report. It's a great way for us to figure out what the people want to hear about, baby. Okay, let's start out. We have one here from The Sentinel, one of our microfictionists.
Hey, Basil and Guns. Hey, Canary Cry family. It's The Sentinel. And I just wanted to leave my testimony about how I came to faith. So I grew up in a Christian home, but I ultimately used the Bible like a sword to hurt people. And it was like being a Pharisee. And one day, the Lord pointed out to me that, I had a lot of hate and anger for the world around me. And so I asked him to take that from me. And I made him the Lord of my life. And he replaced it with love and forgiveness. And now I have a restored relationship with my parents. And I just look for opportunities to love other people. So blessings to you all, and I'd love to hear anybody else's testimonies. Amen.
That's fun. What a fun idea. Thank you, The Sentinel. It's a little tough to hear there a couple of times, but just so everybody gets the deets. The Sentinel, he grew up, in a family. Did he say he grew up in a family of faith?
I think so, yeah. He used the Bible as a sword.
Used the Bible as a sword, used it to hurt people, was very sort of pharisaical about it, and then asked the Lord to take that away from him. And now he's just obsessed with loving people and showing the world, how much Jesus loves them. That's great, Sentinel. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sentinel. It's good to hear the voices of our producers.
I love it. Yeah. I love it so much. And this testimony idea is very interesting. Yeah, I like this idea. Like so hopefully maybe that'll catch on a little bit. Again, it's the Canary Cry family. We got to know about each other. Next up, we've got Matt. Oh, this is fun. Okay, yeah, play this one. This is from Matt.
What is up, Basil and Gonzilla? This is producer Matt of the Eastern Debased Bay Area. Wanted to thank you two for all that you do for the kingdom of God, bringing peace to the Christian fringe community while deconstructing the propaganda of the beast system. I wanted to give everyone an update with the Fountain app you two spoke about a while back, and praise the Lord, it has connected another match. Can honestly say that I found my soulmate on there, and it still blows my mind how amazing our God is. So definitely a shout out to the developers of the app, for has been a conduit for the Holy Spirit for sure. Oops. As well as a shout out to the love of my life, Miss Kelsey. What a beautiful daughter of the Lord you are. And for anyone who wants to hear how awesome she is, I shall unapologetically plug her appearance on the Joyspiracy podcast with Mr. Rosewater, episode 12. With that being said, keep up the good work, you two, and may the Lord guide you in all your ways. Love you.
Thank you.
Wow, love you too, Matt. That is really cool. Yes, the Fountain app is not our app, but listeners of the show created the Fountain app as a kind of a Christian dating type of app, but specifically for like Christian truthers, Christian fringe people, which people have been talking to us about for years, and finally somebody did it. We've mentioned it a few times on the show. A bunch of Canarians have tried it out. And there's been a few people are like finding their soulmates on this app.
It's actually very cool to see.
It is cool to see. I'm always a little reticent about like promoting a dating app in general, but it was created by listeners of the show. So
okay, I have to mention. Finish your thought. No.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to talk about them real quick, and then you can, if you have a comment on the idea of what we're doing, that's okay. But yes, so Matt and Kelsey found each other on the app, and Kelsey I know very well. We haven't spoken in a few years, but Kelsey was on the Joyspiracy Theory, one of my other podcasts, episode 12. If you want to go check it out, it's on your podcast players. You can hear all about Kelsey. Awesome girl. We actually hung out at what was it? The Ohio conference. Yeah, hung out with Kelsey there. Very, very. She used to help out with like a lot of our stuff, like our prayer team. She led up for a while. all sorts of good stuff. So to hear that Kelsey, my friend Kelsey, met a wonderful man named Matt on the app makes my heart sing with joy. So thank you very much for your message, Matt. And
yeah.
Good luck to the both of you.
For people looking for that fountain app, it's always linked in our show notes. So look for that. We didn't report this story last episode, but it was on the list of additional stories. Let me just mention it real quick because it's from Yahoo News. Axios. Peter Thiel backs conservative dating app, The Right Stuff. There's a dating app for the conservative right-wingers called The Right Stuff, and it's being backed by Peter Thiel, the billionaire
that's
guy
a weird part
PayPal.
of it, too.
He's injecting $1.5 million into a seed round. So that's your mainstream right-wing thing.
Yeah, connected with lizard person Peter Thiel.
Yeah. Or you can go to the fountain and find like-minded people from the Canaryverse.
I can't help but maybe want to talk to the fountain guys because so many but a handful of people that have been producers of the show, on the show, very closely related to us, have found like really, really good people on the fountain. So anyways.
At the top, where there's a bunch of lists of links in the show notes, there's one that says "app made by Canary Cry producer," and maybe we should change the verbiage to the fountain app.
I think
but it might be confusing.
So that's
people.
what
There it is. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Okay, one last message.
Matt. Yes, one last message from Godfather.
From the Godfather.
Oh my gosh.
This is the Godfather here. Listen, Schwarzenegger. I don't know what you're doing on this show, and I don't like your comment about the Wednesday jingle. You're part of the problem, boy. What you doing in here? Anyway, I love the new Wednesday jingle. Listen, you come to my house, I give you stuff. I feed you. I give you drinks. I come into your house, you do the same for me. I love it. Keep it in rotation. Get the other one in rotation too, but I think it's better. Much, much better. Schwarzenegger, get out of here. You're probably
the celebrity world is on fire with the battle between our two Wednesday jingles. If anybody was not catching the context for that, yes, Arnold Schwarzenegger called in last show. Which was I forget. Was he pro the old app or
Arnold liked the old
Arnold
Wednesday
liked
jingle.
the old one. Yes, the old Wednesday jingle. The Godfather calling in, throwing down the gauntlet on Arnold. Likes the new one, but also said keep both of them. So can't wait to hear which celebrity chimes in next on the Wednesday jingle Civil War. You're on Canary Cry News Talk. Thank you, The Godfather.
Thank you, The Godfather. And I love the touch of like the Italian music in the background.
Oh yeah,
it's just really painted. They're in the restaurant.
That's just in his voice. That's just his voice. That's not even music playing in the background. His
when you walk in his presence, the music just starts playing. Yeah.
All right. That concludes. We need to wake on up, I think.
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
Okay, did we say bye to
yes.
YouTubers?
So
okay.
I wanted to do a thing. Hold on.
Okay.
We just want to mention YouTubers. This is your last chance. I give you a few warnings, but we are now getting ready to shut off the YouTube stream. So we love you. We apologize. We have to do this to you, but it's just what YouTube has become. We're not playing games anymore. And Veronica, I can't believe I just said that. I just was looking at Veronica's name. Sorry, Veronica. Susan Wishjiki.
Oh my gosh, you had Susan in your mind and Veronica came out. Oh, I'm so
sitting
sorry,
here
Veronica.
Staring at Veronica's name and said her name. Susan Wishjiki is playing games and we're not playing games. So if you want to catch the second half of the show, we are going to be getting into the COVID stuff. We got some COVID updates. Let me just run through just to help you understand here. Yes, we've got our COVID vaccine updates. Lots of big news on that. We've got some FBI news when it comes to digital currency. We're going to be talking about some aliens, and we have our first example of the technocracy beast system, a practical, real-life, current issue with cyborgism that hundreds of people around the world who, became cyborgs are currently dealing with. It's very interesting, and you don't want to miss it. So if you want to catch the second half of the show, YouTubers, head on over to any one of our other platforms, Twitch, Odyssey, Rumble, Twitter, Facebook, DLive, wherever you want to go do it, because this is when we must bid you adieu, YouTube. We're too hot for YouTube, baby.
Okay. Go to canarycry.party, YouTubers. Find us. Bye.
Bye. See you later.
And for those of you who are still here, it's Corona time.
COVID-19, COVID-19, COVID-19,
COVID-19, yes.
COVID-19, COVID-19.
Coronavirus. Vaccine, number one way.
I got a clip to start us off, Basil, in the realm of the sports ball.
I'm watching the sports. Sports did good. Ooh, did the ball go?
The ball goed.
The ball goed.
On TNT, the panel of former NBA players were talking about the NBA season here. And Charles Barkley had something to say about the Kyrie Irving situation. If you guys aren't familiar, Kyrie Irving is a player for the New Jersey Nets, and he refused to get vaccinated. And he has literally been shut out from playing any games in New Jersey. I'm sorry. Did I say New Jersey Nets?
Yeah.
Okay. Brooklyn Nets. Sorry. New Jersey. I'm an old NBA fan. So the Nets were in New Jersey for many years. Brooklyn Nets star Kyrie Irving refused to get a vaccine. So he was barred from playing any home games. So any games that were played at the Brooklyn, whatever their place is called, their arena, Kyrie was not allowed to play. But Kyrie can play in other games, in away games in other states and, things like that. So
this is like he's geo-fenced out of the game.
Yes, but there's a detail that came out from Adam Silver, who is the commissioner of the NBA, and Charles Barkley kind of called him out on it.
If Kyrie, especially if they change that vaccine thing, which let me say something, Adam Silver, who I love, I did not know until I saw him on television yesterday that everybody who doesn't play in New York can play unvaccinated.
Yeah, you didn't know that. Sure.
First of all, that's got to be the stupidest thing I ever heard in my life. Now, seriously, if you're going to let random strangers come into the city unvaccinated, why would you not let Kyrie? It doesn't, like I say, I understand. I wish he'd get vaccinated, but that's got to be one of the dumbest, stupidest rules in the history of civilization.
History of civilization.
So what's going on is, if you're a player from, let's say, the Indiana Pacers and you're unvaccinated, you can travel to Brooklyn and play against the Brooklyn Nets in Brooklyn.
Okay.
But Kyrie Irving, who plays for the Brooklyn Nets, cannot play in a home game in Brooklyn. Because he won't get vaccinated.
I get it. Okay.
So
weird.
That's what Charles Barkley is calling the dumbest, stupidest rule in all of human civilization, or whatever he said. So
yeah, because it's like, they can't control who does or doesn't play on other teams.
Right.
They can
but no, they could if they wanted to, but they can come in. Well, yeah, if they say, if I'm sure if Brooklyn said,
seems like some Beijing Olympics CCP test
100%.
finagling if they did that.
100%. But if Brooklyn wanted to say no unvaccinated players are allowed to play in this building, they could do that, but they don't. They allow other teams, players from other teams who are unvaccinated, come and play against the Brooklyn Nets, but their own player who's not vaccinated cannot play at home. It's very weird. It does sound like one of those Chinese CCP kind of wacko ideas that kind of falls through the cracks. Nobody notices until it's too late, or it's some staged thing, and whatever. But
always possible.
But the thing with Charles Barkley is he's always painted as the contrarian, so he's the guy that's allowed to say this kind of stuff and not get in trouble, with the mainstream crowd. But, they're all pro-vax, all that kind of stuff.
Sure. Yeah, but I mean, it's fun because even the pro-vaxxed, I mean, it's breaking down the illusion that the only people who question the rules are unvaxxed right-wing Trump supporters.
Right.
If even the pro-vax, triple vaxxed, blah blah blah, narrative peddlers are questioning the rules, then it gives people permission to just have a little modicum of room for their own, free thought. Which every foot we can get in the door for that is a win in my book.
Yeah. Yep. And moving on here, we have another clip here. This was actually shared by the CDC and on Twitter, and they linked to the Wired YouTube channel where there was a video here. It's about 6 minutes long. I cut it down to 1:20, some of the main points here. But some of the things they are admitting for people paying attention is like, oh, wow, they just outright said it. It's not conspiracy theory.
Remember that nose swab you took? If it was a PCR test, around 5 to 10% of them end up here, in laboratories set up to conduct genomic sequencing. Genomic sequencing is a process used to analyze the genetic makeup of viruses.
It's sort of like creating and then assembling really large puzzles. A lot of the laboratory testing itself is, moving a lot of tubes around. The example of contagion gives you a good sense of what that process kind of looks like on the back end.
Blue is virus and the gold is human and the red is the viral attachment protein.
We have tools like NextStrain and MicroReact and others that allow us to put sequence data into place and time. For SARS-CoV-2, most labs use an approach called amplicon sequencing, which means that small overlapping pieces of the genome are amplified by PCR, same sort of approach that is used for testing. They're sequenced, and then powerful bioinformatic pipeline and algorithms are used to then put those pieces back together and compare them to other genomes.
The sequencing is done by a mix of academic and clinical laboratories, along with local, state, and federal agencies. Within 2 weeks from this sensation, the sequence is available in public databases. While lab results will tell you if you're positive or negative, they most likely won't tell you what variant you had. But is there any way to find out?
I think you can probably make an educated guess.
Educated guess on what variant?
Why?
I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, what does that mean? What are you basing your educated guess on?
Well, he goes on to say that, if you got COVID last summer, you probably got Delta.
Right. Temporally related.
Yeah.
In the scientific term, it's temporally related.
Not actually genetic sequence related, which was their whole thing here.
No data. It's just a guess.
Yeah. And, to admit that, what does it say, 5 to 10% of the swabs for to test to see if you have COVID goes to the genomic lab, which is like, oh, wow, okay, yeah, they are taking our genetic data, or at least 5 to 10%, and taking it to a lab without our consent, I would imagine. I don't think anybody signed off on, hey, you can have this genetic information. And then the other part where they mentioned, we're just kind of mixing and matching the pipes and try to see what works. And, we put in we put in the data that's, we can timestamp it, we can whatever. And then strong algorithms compare and, do all the
AI gets involved.
All of this is just computer simulations.
Right.
And so there's no vetting of the data collection or the data interpretation or any monitoring or transparency when it comes to data input. All of that is just we just assume that they're doing it ethically and doing it properly and all that. Or doing it without mistake even. You know what I mean? There's nothing that suggests that all that is accurate. So I don't know. It's always interesting to me when they start talking about we just do this and then the computer does that and then we can see stuff on a chart. And then that gets turned into news headlines and that gets turned into policy. So,
I also thought it was very interesting how much attention they were putting into, hey, we send your DNA to a DNA lab. Yeah. Which has always been a concern, especially in the independent side like us. Sending your DNA anywhere is something to be concerned about. I mean, back when 23andMe started, we were some of the first people to be like, "Yo, don't do this." Obviously, they're gonna sell your DNA information. Early Canary Cry News Talk, we would devote time every single show to what are they going to do? What are the repercussions of giving corporations access to your DNA? What are the repercussions of putting your DNA on file? And not just the super spooky stuff, but DNA-based advertising, DNA-based, all sorts of stuff. If they have your DNA, they can see if you have precursor genes to addiction, and suddenly you become a pretty good target for, beer ads or something.
Right.
There's so many ways that the DNA collection can be an issue. And in this case, there's a lot of this DNA is ending up in government-run labs or government-funded labs. In the case of 23andMe, it ended up getting sold to China. Same with other, of the retail DNA testing stuff. And was there anything else attached to the story?
Just the mention of the amplicon. What do they call it? Amplicon sequencing, which again, it's they talk about how it's similar to PCR, and how it says here that in molecular biology, an amplicon is a piece of DNA or RNA that is the source and or product of amplification or replication events. Mm-hmm. It can be formed artificially. What? This is Wikipedia. It can be formed artificially using various methods, including polymerase chain reaction, PCR. So, or naturally through gene duplication.
Wait, put that into human words for us. What exactly is that saying?
Molecular biology, an amplicon is a piece of DNA or RNA that is in the source and or product of amplification or replication events.
So that's what's being replicated in the PCR, the amplification.
Yeah.
They take, they find a little piece of DNA and then amplify that. And that original little piece is called the what? Amplicon, you said?
I think this is the piece that gets created or either sourced or a product of that amplification.
Well, it's either.
Yeah, it's
just anything, any DNA in the PCR testing process.
And it can be formed artificially. Is kind of
that's
using
what I was
PCR.
Gonna say. What do you mean it can be formed artificially? What is?
I don't know. Maybe
the whole
need to
point
consult.
of PCR. Well, see, and that's the problem with PCR. And we've been talking about it for a year and a half now.
More than
PCR, you can. Well, the pandemic's only been going for
2 years.
Almost 2 years. So, anywho, that's the problem with PCR is with the turn of a knob, you can make somebody sick or healthy or, make them test positive or negative. But also it's just not a very good diagnostic tool because of this very reason. It's replicating, it's growing DNA that's in there. So even if you have one tiny little piece, not even a full DNA strand, not even an effective virus that can do anything, just one little strand of DNA can be amplified to make it look like the person is a walking miasma of pandemic.
It kind of reminds me of, in Christian apologetics, they've pointed out many times throughout history, especially under the worldview of the theory of evolution, this idea, we found a jawbone, right? Oh, it must be the missing link.
Yeah,
from
exactly.
one little piece, right?
Oh, yeah. No, they found an ankle bone.
Right, just some
to a
tooth.
Pig.
They found a tooth.
This specific story, they found an ankle bone and created a whole new line of species.
Right.
And then a decade later, they're like, oh, no, this is just a pig ankle bone.
Right.
And it was in textbooks and teaching children about it.
So given that history, this idea of taking something and then replicating it to make it seem like it's something, and then even admitting that they can be created artificially, and that's the system we are using to measure this pandemic and make policy.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's insanity. But
and it's so funny because you still hear some news outlets talk about PCR as the gold standard,
right?
Where the CDC themselves said that we shouldn't use PCR anymore.
Yeah, well, especially after the World Health Organization really dropped the ball on the early days of the pandemic. They were sloppy with how they rolled out the PCR standard worldwide. A lot of doctors and stuff pointed out the discrepancies and the issues with that, and we covered all that last year.
And, it's even that much more concerning because of these Chinese testing companies. We reported on the Hong Kong testing company that just got FDA approval and is going to be sourcing
Bill Gates money, man. That Bill Gates money.
Exactly. And they're sourcing, all these COVID tests, these rapid COVID tests from China. China has no qualms about collecting DNA and storing them in government-run facilities and using them. There's been plenty of stories about that we don't need to go through now, but just if you've been listening for a while, that's just what they do. They even buy international companies just to gain their DNA repository. And while we were on the topic of DNA, remember we had an old DNA jingle? We probably don't have that laying around, do we?
I have it somewhere nearby. You talk, and I can probably find it.
Yeah, this was just a story I wanted to drop in here. It's not necessarily COVID, but was a big DNA story happening recently. I'm coming from the HuffPost here. DA drops charges against, this is the updated version. DA drops charges against woman identified with DNA collected from her rape kit. So, some little adult themes here if parents out there are listening with their kids. San Francisco District Attorney Chesa Boudin has dropped charges against a woman linked to a 2021 property crime after learning that police had used DNA collected from her rape medical exam during the investigation. The district attorney's office said the collection and use of the DNA from the 2016 rape kit was an illegal search and seizure and violated protections of the Fourth Amendment. This is illegal, Boudin's spokesperson Rachel Marshall told NPR on Thursday. Officials only recently learned that the San Francisco Police Department had used a database that included DNA collection from sexual assault victims to identify possible suspects. Quote, "We did not know this was happening," Marshall said, adding that it was a systemic problem that we just became aware of. The practice also dissuades victims of sexual assault from reporting their attacks. Quote, "Public safety demands that we support sexual assault survivors and end many practices that dissuade them from coming forward," Boudin said in a statement. It's not known if a sexual assault victim has been convicted in the city of an unrelated crime based on DNA collected from her rape kit, nor was the outcome of the unidentified woman's rape case revealed. SFPD Chief William Scott has vowed to investigate the practice. The practice. It's a practice. It's not one time happened. It is a practice. Quote, "If it's true that DNA collected from a rape or sexual assault victim has been used by SFPD to identify and apprehend that person as a subject of another crime, suspect in another crime, I'm committed to ending the practice," he said. So, long story short, this woman was on trial for, I think it was a burglary or a robbery that happened recently. And in order to convict her of robbery, the police pulled her DNA from a rape case when she was raped in 2016. So, of course, that's just like atrocious, some sort of ghoulish monstrosity of state policing and like the power of information and DNA databases, where she was a victim and needed to give her DNA in order to gain justice for being a victim of a horrific crime, and then goes and commits a crime, but then that DNA being used against her really shot off a lot of alarm bells all around the country for many reasons, some of which they mentioned here, like, well, if women are going to have to worry about having it used against them in the future, why would they ever, get the authorities involved in a crime against her? But, I'm more focused at this moment on the DNA database. This is what happens when you have DNA databases.
Oh, no, but everyone wants to share their, but the president said it.
They all want to share their data. Yeah, and so when you talk about DNA and these COVID tests getting sent off to labs, put into DNA sequencing machines, who knows what's happening with that DNA afterwards. You can almost guarantee it's being stored in a database, and then it's just a matter of what happens after that. If it's a private laboratory, why wouldn't they sell it to China? Why wouldn't they sell it to the government? Why wouldn't? It's just data. Facebook is doing it. Google's doing it. Everybody's selling data. This is just data. It's another profit motive. I don't know I know there was a company in the UK that we reported on a month or two ago that was caught databasing COVID-19 DNA swabs and selling it. So if they got caught doing it, you got to know somebody else is doing it. And the problem with that is, again, I'm not against COVID testing. Me personally, everybody has different feelings on it. I'm not personally against COVID testing, but if there is an inkling that DNA is going to be sold and used as some sort of product to enrich a company and expose my DNA to some economic system, no way am I ever going to get a nose swab sent off to a laboratory. And that's the bigger problem is, okay, well, if this is how you want to do it, laboratories, then nobody's going to get tested. And COVID is going to just get to live without being tested for. And it's not the test hesitant who created this problem. It's the sick, demented economic system that incentivizes tricking people into giving up their data, their biological data, for the sake of some sort of coercion in the, to see if they are an infected animal.
'Cause I'm DNA.
Yep.
We're very short on time in this segment.
Yeah, we're going to keep zooming.
There's a New York Times article titled Red COVID, an update. And it's about the partisan gap in COVID deaths, how it's still growing, but more slowly. And we don't have to read it. It's a bunch of numbers, blue then red. They're talking about how the blue states were first to get all the COVID and the deaths. But, because that's where all the airports are. But, as the virus spread, it just became more of a Republican problem. And they have a chart here. Cumulative U.S. deaths per capita. And, blue on the low side, red on the high side. Counties, Trump vote share. 300 deaths per 100,000. And, the red line starts below the blue line. The blue line goes off first through time, all through, for the whole pandemic here. But in the last, few months from, probably about a year, actually, 2021 till now, it's all red. All red. It says, as the chart makes clear, the toll has been even worse in counties where Trump won by a landslide than in counties that he won narrowly. But here's a couple things to point out.
What a funny rhetorical connection they're making.
All of this is rhetorical connection based on this.
It's all based on Trump. It's not like, they're Republicans, they're anti-vax. No, it's just, did your county vote for Trump? Well, you're probably all dead from COVID then.
There's a little caption on the chart here, the graph, and it says, note, data as of February 13th, 2022, sources the New York Times database. So their own database is giving us these charts, and then
it's not CDC database, it's not FDA, it's not nothing. It's not even a state-run database. It's just our own database.
It's so ridiculous. And there was I did have something highlighted from earlier. It doesn't look like I don't know what happened to my highlight thing, but basically it was in one paragraph. I was trying to find it because in one paragraph they compare a whole county and how they rejected, vaccines because there was such a high Trump vote rate. It's the highest people dying in any of the counties or whatever, about 500,000 population. And then they do like a personal interest story and they'll like mention somebody's name and then this person who was a Republican and, now he, whatever. It's just interesting how to fit the story of the database, they just come up with stuff, to like make it work. It's like, that county, county's high on deaths and a bunch of Trump supporters. Let's really highlight them. But the average age is like close to 50. It's like there's all kinds of other factors that would play into it.
The per capita thing is a problem.
It is. It's just not a good way to measure it. But the New York Times are trying to make it a political thing, which not surprising anybody.
Because per capita, you have age discrepancies, you have health discrepancies. Just per person is not very helpful with COVID.
Yeah.
Because, if in a city, you're going to have a lot more young people. And young people in general are less likely to die of COVID. And in rural areas, it's mainly older people.
Yeah.
And so, it's just a deceptive graph. More how to lie with statistics.
Yeah. And then we got this story that we got to cover here real quick.
Do we?
Yeah, just real quick. I got a couple different headlines and two different stories reporting the same thing. Reuters headline, FBI to form digital currency unit. Justice Department taps new crypto czar. And I couldn't get past the paywall. Like I tried a few different ways, but the first paragraph or sentence of this article, I'll just read. The U.S. Justice Department has tapped a seasoned computer crimes prosecutor to lead its new national cryptocurrency enforcement team and announced on Thursday that the FBI is launching a unit for blockchain analysis and virtual asset seizure. This sounds really scary, right? It's like, oh my gosh, they're going to start seizing people's crypto. Then The Hill also reported FBI to form new cryptocurrency unit. But this Hill article is much more down to earth. It's like, we formed this thing. We're excited to, help the crypto industry in terms of the scams, getting rid of it. People get hurt. And, I've been phished. I lost a lot of crypto in 2017 because I got phished. And so I understand it would have been nice to have some kind of authority to report it to or whatever. So I understand it from that perspective, but more bureaucracy, I guess, is the point here. I don't know that this is going to be
more red tape, more authority, more access, more control.
I will say that it's very convenient that they announced this the day that all the Ottawa stuff was happening, locking down the accounts and freezing people's crypto wallets.
We've been seeing that a lot lately.
A lot, yeah.
A synchronization of the movements and narratives from the U.S. government and the Canadian government.
It's forcing people to decide whether they want to continue with the government and accept the CBDCs that are going to be issued at some point in the next few years.
Yeah.
Or you can technically, quote unquote, opt out by choosing something a little bit more decentralized like Bitcoin. But I think you and I, Basil, we're going to be forced to use CBDCs in some capacity. I think everybody is to some regard.
Well, it's like money, it's just like cash. It's just like any other Illuminati dollar.
Yeah.
There's times you use that and there's times you don't.
Yeah. Okay. But anyway, we wanted to report that because it is kind of a big deal for the U.S. government to finally put something together for crypto. And long overdue in some sense, but hopefully it provides more clarity than... Well, we know that FBI are going to do what they do.
But they've been doing it for a while. It's just they're officially putting together a group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can get more funding is what they need this for.
We've got some awesome art today. Let's go check it out.
This is our second break where we thank our producers who come in with their talent. And we consider Canary Cry News Talk to be a place of therapeutic reflection of our troubling world. And we encourage those people out there who have a gift of art and talent or music to express what they're feeling. And we share it here to build the culture of Canary Cry News Talk, Canarium, whatever you want to call it. And we're going to do that now. And to start things off, we're going to be doing some art. No. Yes? Wait,
yeah, there's no audio production
today. Okay, no audio. So we're going to do art.
One art, please.
And we're going to start with Dame Allie.
One RC, another one from Allie now. Here it is.
And this one comes with a brief note. And it says, Hopefully Gons has that new ISO from last show to play with Ali's drawing of Billy Gates. And actually, I do. And you want to describe what's happening, and then I'll play the jingle?
We've got an incredible headshot done in pencil here by Dame Ali of Billy Gates. And here he is. Wow. I mean, really, this might be Ali's best portrait. I cannot believe it. I know we brag about Ali all the time, but her skill over doing art for this show for, I forget what the actual number is, definitely over 100 episodes in a row, is really starting to show. We got Bill Gates here. He's wearing his glasses. He's got his lizard eyeballs here, which are really, really well done. They're kind of spooking me out. Don't look straight into them. Some bad will happen to you. But he's making his sort of grimacy face, and you can see the wrinkles in his jowls and in his multiple chins, very powerful multiple chins. Really well done, Ali.
Climate change.
We're taking things that are genetically modified organisms and we're injecting them in little kids' arms. We just shoot them right into the vein.
Vaccines.
Wow, there's a nice little jumble there.
It's all Bill Gates, straight from the horse's mouth there.
That's just the words he says. It's not our fault. He sounds like an evil lizard person.
Vaccines. Climate change.
Wow, really incredible, Ali. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ali. Now it's time to do Sir Dove, Knight of Ruspeltia.
One art piece from Dove.
And he says in the note, peace, for today's artwork, I wanted to do a graphic for your new texting service so Gons doesn't have to. Good. Feel free not to use it. And sorry, Gons, if I was too late and you already created one. No, Basil created one, and it sits over my head.
Yes, but this one we'll definitely be using.
Oh, this one, yeah. Hope you guys like it. Keep doing what you do, and I'll keep praying for yins.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, Dove repeatedly has been so on point with creating graphics of like the programs we are doing that you will find his stuff all over our website now. Just like, hey, we just talk about doing a program or offering some new service, and then boom, we have a graphic for it. So thank you very much, Dove. And yes, this is very good. Definitely going to use this. It is the text number. It says text canary to 877-740-3226 for text updates when we're going live. And there's a canary, googly-eyed canary head, sort of screaming wildly.
Looks like it's getting choked.
Yeah, but it's of course we've got the 322 in our phone number.
Right.
So the phone numbers are in blue. The 322 is in like an oozing blood red to point it out even more. Thank you, Dove. And we've got some skull. What is it? Skull and Bones. Yeah. It's the Skull and Bones logo. So we've got the crossbones underneath the canary head who's screaming. So that's good. You know, the Mason hunters out there, the secret society hunters, we're going to pick that out anyway. So we might as well just make it part of the branding. Thank you very much, Sir Dove. I'm definitely going to put this out on social to try to get people to sign up. We'll see if what kind of effect it has on the list.
Really pushing it. All right. Thank you very much, Dove. Love it. This is great. This is something we can definitely, I'm going to leave it here.
Definitely going to use it. Yeah.
All right. Next up, we have one from Sir Salmons.
Woo!
Night of the Fishes. Wow.
Dude, if Sir Salmons continues on this path of art that he has taken recently, we are definitely going to need a jingle for Sir Salmons.
Yeah.
Because as long as he keeps producing, we need to get him a jingle because this has been really incredible, Sir Salmons.
He has a note here. He says, hey there, Babzil and Gonzo. Here's some art for your enjoyment. No deep message with this one, just Gons in samurai garb, taking on the dreaded Nephilim penguins of Antarctica. A little rough around the edges, but I had fun, and I hope you guys like it. Many blessings from the fishes.
Sir Sammons, this is incredible.
I want to make this my PFP.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is incredible. So, yes, we've got Gons here, just fully decked out in full samurai garb, holding 2 katanas, covered in penguin blood, presumably. And he's in sort of a snowy Antarctic bleak setting. He's on his he's got the mask, the samurai mask with his facial hair on it and everything. And on your samurai hat,
I know,
helmet,
I love it.
You've got the prayer hands, like the hat you wear in the thing. A wonderful, incredible detail. And behind you are the ominous forms of the 7 feet tall Nephilim penguins with glowing red eyes in the distance. They're I don't know, feathers. They must have feathers. They're feathers dripping with blood.
Penguins have feathers?
I think it's feathers. Yeah, they're like weird little, waterproof feathers, but I think they're still feathers.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, the feathers or furs.
Yeah. And just really incredibly done, Sir Sammons. I don't know which edges you are saying are rough around, but yeah, top notch, my man.
Yeah, I need to make this my PFP.
These things again.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Sir Sammons. Thank you to all of our artists, and I think that's it for the art today.
That is it for the art today.
We do have a couple.
Yeah, microfiction is technically art.
Okay, all right, sure.
Yeah. So we got one from Runk Smash.
We do. Hold on one second.
Do we not have a microfiction jingle?
We don't.
Seems like an oversight.
It is an oversight.
I haven't noticed until this exact moment.
Yeah, we should get a microfiction. But we do have a jingle for Runk Smash. Whoa, that's not what I wanted to play.
No, I thought you were setting some sort of...
There we go.
Here we go. Agent Grimwald swims for the derelict ship. Knowing there's no other place Abigail would have gone. His turbines whine loudly as he rushes towards the boat. He doesn't notice the figurehead, made of robot arm parts. The Canary Hydra has awakened.
The Canary Hydra. We get cut down and we just appeared again. With more tentacles, apparently.
That's right. Okay, next we have one from the Sentinel here, who we heard from earlier.
There we go. Hold on, Sentinel. Hold on. Here we go.
There we go.
Why am I not hearing anything?
I'm not hearing anything either.
That's what I know. Hold on. Oh, here we go.
Oh. Basil looks at the freshly waxed warehouse floor. Skatesei Gans joins him. Good job, Basil-san. Now tell me, what makes someone an alpha skater? Basil answers excitedly. They're the best skater. They go faster than everyone else. They weave in and out of people. They do cool tricks. Everyone wants to be like them. No! Gans answers sharply. This is what an alpha boy thinks. What do you think? Basil pauses, putting his hand to his chin as he asks, I guess a real alpha skater helps other skaters get better too. Yes, Basil-san, this is correct. Now put your skates on, then pick up all the tools off the floor, but do not stop skating to do it. Basil begins skating around the warehouse in a single motion. He glides past a tool, extends a hand, and swoops it off the ground. He repeats this again and again. Gans watches proudly from his office. In his hand, an Olympic gold roller speed skating medal. Ooh. Skatesei. Thank you very much. Well done, The Sentinel. Thank you very, very much. And thank you to all of our artists and producers who work very hard to bring their talents to life here on the show, help to evolve, flesh out, and grow the Canary Cry culture. Okay. That is it, right?
I think so, yeah.
We got a couple more minutes. So let me take a second to just mention one more time for the second half of show here, go check out Ravel Podcast. It's my podcast I do I do it with Dr. Christopher Ryan Gates. He's a PhD in biblical interpretation, and we explore all things society, scripture, and scandal. The newest episode has Jay Baker, who is the son of Jim and Tammy Faye Baker, and we Dr. Chris gets into a bit of a debate with him regarding theology, which I accidentally sort of prompted. Wasn't trying to, but you know what? It happened, and it's fun. But we also, sort of become friends. We talk about some really interesting things that we can agree on, and while realizing there are things that we will never agree on. And I will say about Jay, cool guy, and considering his past and what he's gone through, you would expect in the trend of pastors' kids that he would be in a totally different place. So lots of surprises there. Lots of fun. Again, Ravel Podcast is not a podcast for people who like to, just hear the things that they like to hear. It's very challenging oftentimes, but we keep the most important thing. So you can search Ravel on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whatever. You can also go to ravelpodcast.com, which will take you to our link tree, which will help you find all of our stuff. ravelpodcast.com. And other than that, anything else we need to plug?
Nope.
Okay, let's wake up.
Wake up time.
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
Aliens.
Aliens.
This is Yahoo News. Source of truth. Mm-hmm. Astronomers discover a third planet orbiting around our galactic neighbor Proxima Centauri. Now, they do this all the time, right? They're always finding new planets. Mm-hmm. It says here, astronomers have found evidence of a third planet around the closest star to the sun, reinforcing the idea that planets are common around the stars of the galaxy, even some of its smallest. That kind of jumped out at me, reinforcing the idea. It's just an idea. It's not, It's not necessarily fact.
Yeah, that is interesting. Reinforcing the idea.
Yeah. And while the newly found planet is less than half the size of Earth and probably too hot to be inhabited, there's still a chance there could be life around Proxima Centauri, Earth's nearest galactic neighbor.
So you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah, so the planet is not in the habitable zone, blah, blah, blah. This is what's interesting. It's also likely to be tidally locked as the moon is to Earth, with one face always pointing toward Proxima Centauri. That could cause extremes of temperature and limits the likelihood that the planet has a stable atmosphere, Faria said. But astronomers are excited by the discovery despite the hostile conditions that could exist on the new planet. Faria, a researcher at the Institute of Astrophysics and Space Sciences at the University of Porto in Portugal, said it suggests the Proxima system could be, quote, packed with planets. It's also a breakthrough in the way astronomers search for planets around distant stars, which could soon lead to discovery of even more, he said in an email. The new planet will have to be verified by other observations, but Faria and his co-authors say they detected it in tiny variations in Proxima's starlight, wobbles caused by the planet's gravity. Similar techniques were used to detect the first planet around Proxima in 2016 and a second in 2019, but the latest search used light gathered by a new spectrograph at the Very Large Telescope. That's what it's called. Very Large Telescope on a mountaintop in the Atacama Desert of northern Chile, a more sensitive instrument than used before. Quote, we are now able, in terms of instrumental precision, to detect small signals, which opens up possibilities of finding planets like the Earth around stars like the Sun in the not-so-distant future, Faria said. I'm still skeptical.
Yeah, no kidding.
The technology is actually revealing what they think it's revealing. Well, I mean, I'm not an astrophysicist. I'm not going to pretend like I know that, they're just all lying and, whatever. But with the advancement of technology, it's really interesting. I thought about this the other day.
Mm-hmm.
In my very, very first YouTube video, it was called Age of Deceit, but it wasn't the documentary. It was just shorter videos. And actually, I think about it. I don't even know if I have them anymore. But in the video, I mentioned how there's a gap between information presenter and information receiver. As technology develops more and more, there's more of that. And later on, we've termed it the black box effect with AI and stuff like that. But it's something that I've seen coming. And with space, I'm just curious. Like, how do we know what what we're interpreting from the data is what you suggest it is? Like a planet.
It's like a lot of science, which is, it's just kind of, what's the word? Assumption making.
Implied.
You gather data and then you imply from the data.
Right.
And, I understand what you're saying. I have no way of knowing or criticizing whether or not they're doing a good
it's not
job
criticism,
or not.
but it's one of those things where in science, it's something. It's one thing to be like, I throw a ball and then the ball goes down. I can measure the velocity. Blah blah blah.
I hear you.
And then there's another thing where it's like, I'm shooting this laser out to the sky, and then I'm getting this information back. Oh, we found a planet.
I'm getting numbers back.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I hear you. I'm a little bit more focused in these types of stories with the media deconstruction of it because, sure, let's just say for sake of conversation, they found a new planet. I don't care about criticizing that personally. I don't know how it works. I don't fully understand it, and there's lots of things I don't understand, and I'll just breeze on by. But it's funny that every time that a new planet is discovered, it is reported in the context of, oh, there might be aliens. Oh, there might be aliens. There might be aliens because we found another planet. This one might be the one. And then you read it and they're like, it's probably not the one, though. It's probably not because it's,
they
a
use
sort of
the alien
venerable,
thing as a
venerable hellscape of fire and diamonds. Sometimes, these planets are really crazy. And they're like, this one probably doesn't have the aliens, but there's a lot of planets out there. There might be. And it's like, yeah, we know there's a lot of planets. We get it. We know there's a lot now, which probably we can safely imply there's a lot more. And that's cool to think about for a second. But really, it's hilarious because they're like, nobody cares about the planets unless we tell them there might be aliens.
Aliens.
And it really speaks to a couple of things. Number one, the sort of state of our world where we're just so bored with the idea of the thought of other planets for whatever reason, whether you just don't buy it or whether you're like, yeah, well, I saw Star Wars, saw a lot of planets there too. And those planets had cool aliens on it. Why do I care about your desolate nonsense planet? And so they, we just don't care about planets unless aliens are involved. And even when there's not aliens involved, we just like to be reminded, oh, there could be aliens involved.
Well,
and
yeah.
Oh, I'm almost done here.
Okay.
I want to hear what you have to say, but there's one more side to this, which is, of course, there's the scientific funding side. What you're seeing is the mainstream media is a tool of the scientific establishment, which sounds so obvious to say now after COVID, and we've all had the chance to come in contact with this information and see it play out in real time over 2 years. It seems obvious. But for a long time, that was not obvious.
Yeah.
It was not obvious that the mainstream legacy corporate news media was not interested in the news. They were only interested in the news insofar that it could be monetized and paid for. And so, we get to see it now, and we should look at every piece of news, whether it's about COVID or whether it's about aliens or planets. What you are seeing is the tool that is the media being wielded by some industry. Some cases it's the pharma industry. Some cases it's the financial industry. In this case, it's the scientific industry, the astrophysics industry, being wielded as a tool for gain, for monetary gain. These articles are used as public interest data points to justify throwing more and more money, government grant money, investment money, all these sorts of things at these situations. What you are watching with these articles is no more than an advertisement for McDonald's. But in this case, the McDonald's is the Very Big Telescope in Chile, which is the best name for a telescope. The Very Big Telescope can now run for an extra year because they found this planet. And again, for me, it's not so much about the science, not so much about the planet. It's just like, oh, okay, here's the media being used as a tool again, not necessarily, playing some role as an essential way for people to get information.
There's a more specific name for the Very Large Telescope.
I don't know if I want to hear it.
It's the Echelle Spectrograph for Rocky Exoplanets and Stable Spectroscopic Observations, ESPRESSO.
Boo! Boo! It's the Very Big Telescope for life. I want the Very Large Telescope T-shirt. I want the Very Large Telescope hat, trucker hat. Get your espresso acronym out of here.
You know, it's interesting, too. I went straight to the ESO.org website that's linked in that article there. It's the European Southern Observatory. And it says the ESO enables scientists worldwide to discover the secrets of the universe for the benefit of all. So it's like, are there people out there discovering...
How am I benefiting from this?
Well, yeah, no, that's number one. Yeah, how do we benefit? But number two, are there people out there that are trying to discover secrets of the universe not for the benefit of all?
Not for our benefit.
Like, who are you going up against, ESO?
How is this? Yeah, how are you distinguishing yourself from your competitors?
Yeah, this is, it's very strange.
We've got I guess there is the Lucifer telescope. That might not have our best interest in mind. The Lucifer telescope, for those who need reminding, is the Vatican-owned telescope that they named
on Mount Graham.
They named it Lucifer.
It's in Arizona. For anybody who wants to go check it out. Yeah, that's funny. This is like the European
Arizona meetup.
Oh, there you go. The European Southern Observatory saying, like, unlike those Lucifer-loving Satanists in the United States, we here in Europe share the secrets for the benefit of all. I don't know, man. All the things you said about the context of the funding and all that is correct, but also weird. It's kind of like, I don't know. I had a couple analogies, but I'm not going to mention it. I will read this, though. At Cerros Armazones near Paranal, we are building, quote, the world's biggest eye on the sky.
Oh.
ESOs, get this, Basil, time for you to upgrade. Extremely large telescope.
Oh my gosh, that's way better than the Very Large Telescope.
They're going to run out of words.
Is that serious?
Yes,
Are you joking?
this is in the ESO.org article here.
Oh my gosh.
At the very bottom, they talk about how they're building the world's biggest eye on the sky.
We've got the Very Large Telescope, but not for long, Very Large Telescope. We've got the Extremely Large. This is kind of like the billionaires going to space.
It is.
It's like the science-y version. It's like the nerd version of building a rocket. It's like, well, I built the Very Large Telescope. Well, I built the Extremely Large Telescope. Whoa. And all the girl scientists are very impressed.
Find out more about the Extremely Large Telescope.
Well, we might as well, Gons. We've got 8 more minutes in the
well, you got to talk about your cyborg thing. So.
Yeah, let's move over to cyborg.
Okay, here we go.
Are you ready to become cyborg?
Oh, yeah, you just made me panic. There's no way I can do this in 8 minutes. But this is going to be very impressive because I'm a professional who can fit the time. This is coming from IEE or spectrum.ieee.org.
One of the earliest outlets that we quoted from on Canary Cry.
Yeah, we've been watching these guys for a long time. and which is kind of a full circle thing considering this story, which the article is titled, "Their Bionic Eyes Are Now Obsolete and Unsupported."
Yikes.
Which we've talked about Second Sight before, and I think we actually reported on the same guy. He looks very familiar.
He does look familiar.
Barbara Campbell was walking through a New York City subway station during rush hour when her world abruptly went dark. After 4 years, Campbell had been using a high-tech implant in her left eye that gave her a crude kind of bionic vision, partially compensating for the genetic disease that had rendered her completely blind in her 30s. Quote, "I remember exactly where I was. I was switching from the 6 train to the F train," Campbell tells IEEE Spectrum. Quote, "I was about to go down the stairs, and all of a sudden I heard a little beep, beep, beep sound. It wasn't her phone battery running out. It was her Argus 2 retinal implant system powering down. The patches of light and dark that she'd been able to see with the implant's help vanished. Terry Byland is the only person to have received this kind of implant in both eyes. He got the first generation Argus 1 implant made by the company Second Sight Medical Products in his right eye in 2004, and the subsequent Argus 2 implant in his left 11 years later. He helped the company test the technology, spoke to the press movingly about his experiences, and even met Stevie Wonder at a conference. Quote, "I went from being just a person that was doing the testing to being a spokesman," he remembers. Yet, in 2020, Byland had to find out secondhand that the company had abandoned the technology and was on the verge of going bankrupt. While his 2 implant system is still working, he doesn't know how long that will be the case. Quote, "As long as nothing goes wrong, I'm fine," he says. "But if something goes wrong with it, well, I'm screwed because there's no way of getting it fixed." Ross Dorr, another Second Sight patient, doesn't mince words. Quote, "It is fantastic technology and a lousy company," he says. He received an implant in one eye in 2019 and remembers seeing the shining lights of Christmas trees that holiday season. He was thrilled to learn in early 2020 that he was eligible for software upgrades that could further improve his vision. Yet, in the early months of the COVID-19 pandemic, he heard troubling rumors about the company and called his Second Sight vision rehab therapist. Quote, "She said, 'Well, funny you should call. We all just got laid off,'" he remembers. Quote, "She said, 'By the way, you're not getting your upgrades.'" These 3 patients and more than 350 other blind people around the world with Second Sight's implants in their eyes find themselves in a world in which the technology that transformed their lives is just another obsolete gadget. One technical hiccup, one broken wire, and they lose their artificial vision, possibly forever. To add injury to insult, a defunct Argus system in the eye would cause medical complications or interfere with procedures such as MRI scans. And it could be painful or expensive to remove. And that's all of the article I'm going to read. You kind of get the point. Goes into Neuralink, goes into, kind of a breakdown of the problem of this industry, which I think, Gons, we are just as competent and qualified to talk about on our own. So, considering our time here. So this is what we talk about when we talk about the technocracy. We talk about the transhumanism element specifically, because biohacking is one thing. The sort of underground punk rock cyborg implants are another thing. But when you mix it up with economics and companies, and rely on these technologies, which these people are blind. They're not wrong for relying on the companies. But when we talk about transhumanism, cyborgism, there's many layers that we may talk about. One of those layers is we're not Luddites. We're not against the technology if it truly does help people and is in line with their values and doesn't take advantage of them or sacrifice something that they're not consenting to. But when you talk about technology and the problems it can present to a transhumanist, it's not just what the technology is, but it's whose technology it is, and who does it benefit, and what is the spirit behind it, and what is the long-term ramifications or plans. And in this case, who are you yoking yourself with certain technologies? And in this case, these people, in order to gain what seems to be sort of a miracle in their lives, yoked themselves to a company who completely abandoned them. Of course, going out of business. Later on, it tells a story about how it's not actually going out of business. This company got bought. They were doing poorly, but they sold the company to another company that now owns them. But they're not necessarily taking care of these people in the way they should be taken care of. I mean, they have these implants, and at this point, you heard it. They had software updates coming. They had not just improvements, but repairs needed, things like this. And the company goes out of business, and boom, you are stuck with a piece of technology implanted into your eyeball that could go bad at any moment, and there's nothing to help you out. And to take it out is a huge problem. And it keeps you from, getting other life-saving medical treatments or just procedures like getting an MRI. And, in this case, it's 350 people around the world. But imagine a world where it's, much more, what is the word? Saturated, I guess, in the population. Instead of 350 people, what if it's 1 million people or 10 million people? And boom, something goes wrong and you're just left in the dust. And it's very sad. I really feel for these people, that the sort of failure of some businessman in an office means that they have to go back to living a life that was worse than before.
Yeah, there's a lot of layers to this one for sure.
So many layers, I know.
But I think,
feel free to pick a different layer if you want to talk about it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to. You covered some of the main points and the problems with this, but it's interesting because it's the first example where the reliance on the technology is beyond some kind of productivity in the kind of entrepreneurial sense or something like that. Because normally, or your iPhone dies or you break it or you lose your smartphone, something like that. It's an inconvenience. Or for example, people that were using Blackberries up until the beginning of this year, they don't support the Blackberry anymore. So it's a piece of junk now. You can't do anything with it because it doesn't connect to the network and nobody's maintaining it and et cetera. So in that regard, okay, yeah, I can't use my BlackBerry anymore, but I can maybe move it. Maybe it's time for a smartphone.
It's 2022. Buy a different phone.
Yeah, exactly. But in this case, your sight, you're relying your ability to see on this technology, and that's a lot more trust that you're handing over to people that you have no control over.
And trust, and in a way, you're like a slave to them.
Well, think about the hive mind aspect of this, because in a hive mind, when all these minds are connected, one pull of the central plug and all those nodes become useless. They have to find other hosts, kind of thing. So, in that sense, this is it's sad for the individuals, like you said. I think that's true and accurate. But I mean, what do you do? Is there something we can do to help these people? Is there a procedure to get them out, raise money for that or something? Or
I mean, they can get it taken out, but it is painful and it's not, it's not chill.
They've already kind of opened the Pandora's box when it comes to...
More or less, unless they have a lot of money and are willing to,
There's got to be a lawsuit, maybe they sign some stuff.
The other part of it is the company trained the doctors. And the doctors were licensed by the company. They were second sight, like therapists.
Right.
Who did this stuff. So, if the company doesn't exist anymore, if the legal liability protection isn't there for the doctors, no surgeon's going to touch this.
Right.
Now, that might be the case that there is something set up. I just don't know. But it goes on with, how a lot of these people feel sold. They feel kind of messed with because Second Sight had been making lots of promises. There was lots of promises for upgrades with like thermal imaging and color and all these, they were really they were promised the cyborg promise.
Yeah.
Which is endless upgrades, endless improvements, better than life before, not just before as a blind person, but before anybody with regular eyes, to the not just the fixing of a problem, but the improvement of the human being. And it's just gone overnight, just disappears. So,
man, that's tough.
And that's, that is one of the aspects when it comes to the transhumanism. Is transhumanism only works as long as whatever elites in control want it to work, and not even want it to work, but it's profitable for them for it to work,
Yeah.
So,
Alex 15 Raptor posted in the chat the scripture that I was going to pull up, but he's got it here. So it's Daniel 2:43. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay being human, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay.
Mm-hmm.
So this is kind of like an example of that playing out in real time in 2022.
And it's, early on for the sort of popularity of cyborgism, but these are the types of problems that will come in the future.
And think about and we'll finish with this, the spiritual sort of implication, because the giving sight to the blind is one of Jesus's miracles.
Mm-hmm.
And isn't it so fascinating that we have Jesus healing people's sight 2,000 years ago? And today we're so advanced, we're so smart, we're so much smarter than the Bronze Age, people in the Middle East or whatever. And here we are, we have all this technology, and a company just screws over 350 people who have stuff injected into their eyeballs with the hope that they can see again.
Yeah,
crazy.
Exactly. All right. Well, there you go, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. We're going to be back on Monday. That's February 21st. So put that on the calendar. Make sure you turn on notifications. And more than anything, go ahead and sign up for direct text notifications. If you would like to receive a text message before we go live so you never miss a show. Very exciting. There's a lot of people signing up for this, more than I was expecting. We're going to have to up our usage of this service, but we're happy to do it if it makes people, happy and it helps them catch the show, because we certainly get a lot of emails about people missing it. So if you want to make sure to catch the show, sign up for the text message direct. I gotta pin this pitch.
The name.
I gotta get this pitch better. Anyways, text Canary to 877-740-3226.
We don't know what it's called, but just do this.
877-740-3226. You got the image up there. You got the graphic up there. Cool. Yeah. Sorry, I don't have the stream running right now. Go do it. We're just going to be sent. We don't collect your name, no identifying information. We just get the number, and we just got a big pile of them, and we'll send out one message before we go live on Monday. So go check that out. And we will need producers for Monday's show. Thank you all for producing the show today. It really was a relief to know that, the reasons that producership had a slump was because we were off YouTube for 2 weeks. But all you YouTube folks, those who made it to another platform, thank you so much for being diligent and sticking with us on another platform. We promise to make it worth your while. And if you want to produce the show, you can head on over to patreon.com/CCNT or canarycryradio.com/support.
Really on my game today.
Yeah.
Canary Cry Radio.
patreon.com/support.
That's right. You can become a producer. You can become an executive producer, an associate executive producer with your treasure. You can also produce the show with your time or your talent. Yes?
Question.
Uh-huh.
Ellie Poo's in the chat. Can I text that number from the UK?
I don't know. Give it a try. I have no idea. I'm new to this program. So text it, see what happens. I'm not sure. You'll have to put the country code, which is 1.
+1.
Yeah, but you'll get a little note back if you successfully subscribed. So there you go. You can also sign up at canarycry.party. But yes, please produce the show. We can't do the show without you. It's the only way. We're not going to get the advertisers involved. No corporate money, no corporate incentives. This is purely independent media. And if that is something that you want to see continue in the world, please become a producer in the places just mentioned. And I want to give a big old thank you to the producers who made this episode possible. We couldn't have done it without them. Starting with our executive producer, Michael W. That's Wizen1984. Wizen1984. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael.
Our associate executive producers, Marie Christine and Road Racer.
Thank you very
and
much.
of course, thank you to our supply drop producers, Adam M., Joshua D., Mark H., Toph, and of course, our Marie Christine and Road Racer again. Those are people who signed up to support the show on a monthly basis and will start receiving our cool exclusive supply drop deliveries next month. 10 days left to sign up, folks. You don't want to miss out on this first one. It's the maiden voyage of the supply drop.
That's right. We're going to smash a bottle of champagne when we send it off?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, right on the UPS truck as they drive away with our shipments. So yeah, maybe some people are waiting to see if it's cool or worth it or whatever, but it's the maiden voyage. You're not going to want to miss the first supply drop, especially because we're doing some collectibles, making some collectibles that will only be available in certain supply drops. So if you're a collectible person, you're going to want to get in on the first one. But thank you to the rest. Oh, you can go to canarycrysupply.com for that. Thank you to Little Winged One, David M., Matthew M., Andres O., Moore of Puddin22, Heather Saras, Joy T., Sir Sigurd the Beast, Palmer B. Oh, don't move things, Gons. Sir Scott,
sorry.
Knight of Truth, Robert R., Sir Casey the Shield Knight, Jackie U., Child of God, Doctor Who Dundak, Gail M., Veronica D., Runk Smash, and of course, thank you to everybody who left your voice messages. Remember, go to canarycrynewstalk.com. On the right-hand side, little green tab, click on that, leave us a voice message, and of course, thank you to our artists. We officially need to thank... Okay,
reviews.
Yes,
reviews.
We have so many things. Oh my gosh. Sorry, we're still getting used to this new format. We should have started with thanking the clip producers. Thank you very much, clip producers. Emsworth and Faye Liverin are our 2 active clip producers, and we got a couple more in the wings we'll thank. Go follow Canary Cry Clips on YouTube or Odyssey. Just search Canary Cry Clips. We've got clips going up from recent shows, but also from old shows. So if you don't want to, search around old shows to try to find things to listen to, you can listen to the clips, shareable, careable clips of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to go post them while you do it. Canary Cry Clips. And thank you to our time stampers, which for Wednesday's show was Jade Bouncerson. Thank you very much, Jade Bouncerson. Timestamps. It's hard work, man.
It is hard work. Come on. Here we go.
Timestamp. It's hard work. Timestamp.
Uh-huh. Oh, yes. The winners of the Valentine's Day design contest. You need to email Gail. That is Sir Casey the Shield Knight. That was Bibu Zuzu. And that was Runk Smash, I believe, were the winners of the Canary Cry Valentine's contest. And I am hurriedly searching for the email for you to email. So Sir Casey, Runk Smash, and Bibu Zuzu, go ahead and send an email to Gail. Send it to Gail. Gail, where's your email? Come on.
I saw it in the chat.
You saw the actual email in the chat?
I thought so. I thought she put it in there a few minutes ago.
Okay.
I'm scrolling.
Yeah. Oh, nuts. I had this pulled up earlier. Hold on. Oh, my gosh.
Maybe I scrolled past it. This is great
here it
radio.
is. Gailey Mac.
Gailey
Mac59 at gmail.com. Gail, G-A-I-L-E-I-E, Gailey Mac, M-A-C, 59 at gmail.com. Yes. Send an email to Gail, and she'll get you your prizes from Gail's Gratitude Grab Bag. There you go. Get in touch. Okay. So thank the timestampers. There we go. Meetups. Nothing has changed. To go to Canary Cry. Oh, something has changed, actually. Go to canarycrymeetups.com. You can take a look at all of the meetups that are happening around the country. There's only a couple of them coming up. And so if you're out there and there is not a meetup happening near you, put one on yourself. It's really easy. All you got to do is pick a date and a time and a place. Let us know about it, and we will tell the world. We guarantee that there are Canarians in your area. But, you're not going to meet them until you put on a meetup, and they start showing up. The next ones, Gons will tell us soon.
Yep, I'm ready. Hold on.
Did you get the update to East Texas?
Yes.
Okay.
Canary Cry Meetup.
Yep, canarycrymeetups.com. Find out if there's a meetup happening, and if there's not, put one on yourself. You can choose a location, figure out a date and time, make a flyer, and promote. Ciara's doing the Zoom meetups. Contact her. Third Saturday of every month.
Which is tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yep.
Tomorrow's the Zoom meetup.
Mm-hmm. And then there's a Washington meetup that Ciara is organizing as well, March 19th, 2022 at noon.
Okay.
And then East Texas meetup update. It's been moved to April 30th, 2022. It was originally the 16th, but that's Easter. So
April 30th for East Texas.
Can't be doing Ishtar weekend, so we got to do April 30th.
That's right.
For the East Texas Canary Cry meetup.
And we'll be getting an updated flyer for that soon.
Yep.
Okay. And I think that's it, right?
That's it.
All right. Reviews.
Where's my review button?
I don't know, man.
What happened to it?
I don't know, man.
Man, I don't know about this board.
This sounds like user error to me, Gons. Thank you to everybody who's been leaving ratings and reviews. It's super, super helpful to us, but you don't respond to positive feedback. You want to be shamed by Gons's grumpy uncle. So I'll be happy to oblige you in that in a second. But I do want to thank the people who did leave reviews. It is really important that we get about 5 or more reviews every single week, because that activates the algorithms, and hundreds of new people find the show every week when these reviews come in, and the algorithms see that and they share the show without any human intervention. So I want to read some reviews now. We got some good ones since last time. As I scroll and try to figure out, there we go. And here I go. I'm just going to breeze on through them, Gons. Okay. This one is from Not My iPhone Guy from the United States. 5 stars. The best podcast of all time. I finally found an iPhone so I could leave a review. I love your show. It beats anything on the magic black box. Basil and Gons are a perfect podcast pair that you cannot find anywhere in this universe. I can never get enough, and I'm always wanting more. I would love to see a marathon and see how long you guys could go. I would stop mooching and contribute ASAP. Is this not enough for you? Do we not do enough content for you? Not My iPhone Guy? Basil and Gons run for the White House in 2028. You can robot duel it out to see who gets to be president. Good luck, and be one with the podcast. Thank you very much. Not My iPhone Guy.
Thank you.
Yeah. I don't know if we can make the show any longer for you. You're just going to have to stop mooching, and then we'll add a couple minutes for you. Thank you very much, Not My iPhone Guy, for the review. Appreciate it. It means a lot. Next, we got Peter One Piper from the U.S. 5 stars, CRAP. Oh, no. I was also raised in an environment where shame was always hung around your neck. Thank God for Jesus, right? When Basil said he was not allowed to say the CRAP word, it's not that unheard of. But when he said it wasn't until his early 20s, we are like brothers from other mothers. This show, however, is not CRAP, to be clear. I'm adjusting to life as a stay-at-home dad of 2 boys under 7. Even if it makes sense, it's still kind of rough. I'm a Purple Heart U.S. Marine Corps vet. Oh, wow, thank you. And a Christian for the last 35 years. This show is perfect. I can relate to a lot of the perspective. So if the government was a big part of your life and midlife stuff is your jam, and if you love Jesus, then this show is perfect. This show is news for guys like me. God is good, and so is this show. Oh, thank you very much, Peter One Piper. What a wonderful review. Yes,
that's great review.
You're living the life, man. Living the life.
Yep.
Thanks for listening.
2 boys under 7.
It's a handful.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we've got Andrew Stavola from the United States. 5 stars, interactive and fun. I've been listening to Basil and Gone shortly after being saved in late 2017, first through CCR and now CCNT. I love how fun, lighthearted, and informative each podcast is. It's not just a podcast. It's more like a hangout that you can have a part in, like drawing art for the show, making music, leaving messages through SpeakPipe, become a boots-on-the-ground grassroots reporter for the show, too. Love you guys, and thanks for creating such a great experience through your work. Thank you very much, Andrew.
Appreciate that.
What a wonderful, anybody who's wondering about the show and reads that, they're like, wow, these guys do a lot of stuff. Thank you very much, Andrew. Next, this is from Stanto in Australia. Ooh, we got another Aussie review here. 5 stars. First-time listener. Ooh. I came across 2 funny guys by chance on the No Agenda stream. Wow.
No agenda.
That's not a donation, but it's okay.
Not a donation, but yeah.
It's close.
Thank you very much, Stanto. Oh, there's more here. Yeah, okay. So he heard us on the No Agenda stream. Yeah, No Agenda listeners. We're on the schedule over at the No Agenda stream now.
Yeah, and Adam never remembers us.
Never remembers
brand new
us.
Show every time he hears our name.
Yeah, No Agenda listeners. I'm sure you're having as much fun as we are with that. We have executive produced the show multiple times. We have had shout-outs from our producers on their meetup reports.
We've emailed. I've had direct exchange with email with Adam.
Full-on conversations with Adam and John. Not John, but with Adam.
Yeah.
And we've been announced on the stream by Adam multiple times. And every single time, he's like, oh, I never heard of these guys. Oh, interesting. We'll check. I'm like, dude, you have definitely heard of us. What are you talking about?
It's okay. Funny. He's not necessarily,
he smokes a lot of weed. And
I was going to say, maybe not the right frame of mind when he's
older gentleman and has COVID right now.
Oh, that's right. He's got the COVID fog. That's
got the
it.
COVID fog.
There you go. That's
so
probably
not
what
us,
it is.
Gons.
It's COVID.
All right, let me finish this. I came across 2 funny guys by chance on the No Agenda stream and developed an instant rapport, grabbed the RSS, and loaded all the episodes into Podcast Addict. Looking forward to lots of long format content and catching the show on video. Thank you very much, Stanto.
Thank you.
And good luck down there. Joby G is back from the United States. 5 stars. Shazam! Transform your normal day into an info-infused super day by just listening to this podcast. Thank you, Joby G.
All right.
And then Hastings Pal, United States. 5 stars. Love these guys. News and information wrapped in a different perspective. Not to be missed. Thank you to all of these people leaving reviews. You've heard me tell you how essential it is that we get a constant stream of reviews. Sometimes you care, sometimes you don't. But don't listen to me. Listen to Gonz's grumpy uncle.
Yep.
You had to know this was coming, Gonz.
I did, but I was working on something else.
Ugly, horrible person. You must leave review on iTunes. And if you do not, you are ugly, horrible person. You bring shame to family. Bean chili. Ugly, horrible person.
That's right. Don't be an ugly, horrible person. Leave us a review. And if you don't have access to Apple Podcasts or iTunes, you can leave a review on Audible, which I forgot to check. We'll do Audible's next.
I don't think we had anything new. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Audible. You can also leave ratings and reviews. Thank you very much. So there you go. There's your ratings and reviews. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And that's it. Okay. Good. Wow. Okay. We need to work on the format of this back end of the show here. But I think that's it. Other than that, if you want to produce the show in other ways that are not financial, you can create art, create music, create jingles, whatever you create something for the show. Send it in to canarycryradio@gmail.com or canarycryradio@protonmail.com. And we'd love to feature it on the show. It's a very important part of the culture here. And that goes for anybody. You don't have to have a jingle written about you to make some art for us. You can just send it in. You can also help us out by sharing the show. Sharing it is easy. If you go to canarycrystreetteam.com, you can download flyers you can hang up around your community. They're super funny. They're going to catch people's attention. You can giggle at them every time you walk by them. Hang them up at your coffee shop, your yoga studio, your post office.
Yoga studio. I wonder what the contingency of our listeners are doing yoga.
Oh, please. There's definitely yoga people listening to the show.
Oh, boy.
Absolutely. That's such a silly thing to say, Gons. Of course there is. This is America. Yes, wherever you want to hang those, canarycrystreetteam.com. Go check them out. Canary Cry Bingo is still rolling. Go check that out. But as far as sharing the show goes... Thank you. As far as sharing the show goes, you can do it all sorts of ways. You can text it to a friend. You can put it on a CD, throw it at their head. You can put it on your social media. That's very important. Oh, that reminds me of something I want to start doing. For those who do post episodes or give us shout outs on social media, I'm going to start giving you shout outs on the show. So on that note, I do want to give a shout out to, pulling up the Twitter, scrolling. Oh, man, this would have been a great opportunity to have this ready. Joshua Ledford. Thank you very much. At Zanarkend, Zanrkend. Canarians, if you're looking for somebody to follow who likes the show, it's at Zanrkend, Kend. Thank you very much for the shout out on Twitter there, Joshua. Okay. Sharing the show. All sorts of ways to do it. Just tell people, word of mouth. There's people in your lives who are just now getting permission to question the mainstream narrative. Now is a perfect time to start sharing the show with them. The ship is turning around. The facade is crumbling. And, they thought you were crazy. They thought you were just sort of quirky and sort of a contrarian or something, or maybe they thought you're a full-blown conspiracy theorist. Well, they're now getting the permission from the mainstream to kind of question the narrative from the breakdown of the narrative right before their eyes. And now's the time to share the show. Show it to them. Be like, hey, these guys have been on it. This is this has been happening for a while. This is not a new thing. Welcome to the club. We're glad to have you waking up. Now get some more education here. Check out Canary Cry News Talk. There's a very special time for that right now. But you don't have to do it that way. You don't have to do it any of these normal ways. I know you quirky little Canarians. You don't want to talk to somebody with your mouth or hang up a flyer or share it on social media. You want to do something weird, man. You want to make it weird sharing the show. You want to make a statement, something that your grandkids will remember you by. Remember Grandpa? Remember when he shared the show by breaking into the very large telescope with a can of spray paint? He flew down to Chile. He had work, and he skipped work. He left his family. He left Mom and the kids, and he ran down to Chile, not to do something weird, not to run away from his responsibilities, not to, start another family with some señorita. No, he went down there. He got a can of spray paint. He jumped the barbed wire fence at the very large telescope. And he ran across that thing. It's like a quarter mile long. And he spent all night. He camped out. He pitched a tent on the telescope. He spent all night long spray painting some beautiful graffiti, something that would really catch the eyes of the aliens who are spying on us from other dimensions or planets or whatever, or just to make those dang scientists really mad. And he went to the Very Large Telescope and he scrawled in spray paint across the whole thing, "Your telescope is tiny. Look at your little baby telescope. Sincerely, Extremely Large Telescope." That's right. He started a race war with the different sizes of telescopes. It was the most explosive controversy in the scientific establishment for years. And then the Very Large Telescope scientists, they retaliated against the Extremely Large Telescope scientists and says, you are what you say I am. I'm rubber, you're glue. Whatever you say I am is what you are. And then the Extremely Large Telescope guys were like, oh, that's it. It's on. And then, kind of like Revenge of the Nerds style, they planned this whole like heist to break into the Very Large Telescope's the dorm room. And then remember, we're talking about your grandpa who did this back in the day. And so what he did was he set a little trap, a fun little trap, that when the Extremely Large Telescope scientists broke into the Very Large Telescope scientists' dorm room and opened up their underwear drawer to put some itching powder in it, bang! A whole drawer full of 1,000 living canaries that have been starving in a drawer for a day came blasting out and started pecking at him. And yeah, exactly. But we know what the real thing is. Birds aren't real. They're actually just government drones. And these government drones in the shape of canaries started picking up the Extremely Large Telescope scientists by their lapels, kind of like a Snow White type of thing where the birds start picking up the people, and flew them off into the sky, and they were never seen again. I have no idea what this has to do with sharing the show.
I have tears coming out of my eyes from tiredness. I'm yawning.
Pain.
A little bit of pain.
Guns, I want you to extemporaneous, okay? I'm trying to figure out how in the world this is supposed to circle back into sharing the show. I've got to say, this is the first time I cannot find a way back to the purpose of this rant.
No, you need to send a message out to whatever planet off of Alpha Centauri, and then they're gonna know how to learn the or hear about this or listen to the show. Yeah, there you go.
Or just the news. They see. That's what it is. Okay, the mainstream news where they're waiting anxiously to be paid by the scientific establishment to report on a new planet or whatever as some sort of tool to be used for economic gain. But instead, they see those Extremely Large Telescope pranksters flying through the air, being carried by a bunch of canaries, and that's the headline: bunch of canaries carry away Extremely Large Telescope scientists. I think it has something to do with the podcast or something, so probably go listen to that. Boom, everybody knows about the show, and it's all because of your grandpa being a little rascal down in Chile.
That's how we go virus.
That's how we go virus. You boomer.
Vaccine.
Okay.
Vaccine.
We like to call it rattling cages. If you need any more instructions, here's what you do. You walk right up to him, you grab him by the cage, and then you shake it, baby.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
We made it.
We did.
Made it.
A little bumpy
All
at
right.
the end.
Mm-hmm. You got anything else to say?
No. God bless everybody. Have a great weekend. Stay watchful.
Mm-hmm. Indubitably.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Of course I went to
Thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode of Canary Cry or News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
All right. Okay.
A fancy man voice.
Okay, are we done?
We're done. And away we go. We're flying away. Look at us.
This is the way.
Climate change. Climate change. Vaccines. Climate change. Climate.
I wrote the bill.
Think minority. We will hunt you down and make you pay.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
Wives in the cosmos, children in the space lane.
I'm an adult in a spaceship.
Supersonic space plane screamed to life in the vehicle's upward on board. The passengers experienced a 3 G's of force from the burst of extreme acceleration and watched the blue sky fade into space.
In the back have been cleared to unstrap.
Oh, yeah.
In the back have been cleared to unstrap.
Yes. Do it, Richard. Do it, Jeff. Do it for humanity.
All you kids down there. I was once a child with a dream. Now I'm an adult in a spaceship.
He can accomplish it. You can too. Big windows, cool. Rocket ship, cool. Space plane, cool.
Nukes.
Cool.
Blowing stuff up.
Cool. Space plane, astronaut, rocket ship.
Previous anchor.
We have space and human. Just look at him. Go to the bathroom in bags. He can go to the bathroom in the cosmos. It changed everything. Wives in space, children in the cosmos.
Keep yapping, man.
With your best friend brother. Wives in the cosmos, children in the space lane.
We are headed to space.
Previous anchor. Previous anchor.
It's Corona time. COVID-19, 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 COVID-19,
COVID-19.
COVID-19, 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 come down.
This is the United States of America, for God's sake.
COVID-19, 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 COVID-19,
Thank you, Jesus.
Crawl on your belly. Standing in the office of the prophet of God in the Garden of Eden. I execute judgment on you, COVID-19. I execute judgment on you, Satan, you destroyer, you killer. You get out. We break your power. You get off this nation. I demand judgment on you. I demand a vaccination to come immediately.
Vaccines.
I call you done. No more.
No more.
I call you gone. You come down.
What are we going to do?
Burn. Vaccines.
Do it. COVID-19.
If you haven't gotten vaccinated, do it.
COVID-19.
Climate.
God has taken his place in the divine council. In the midst of the gods he holds judgment. How long will you so-called gods judge unjustly and show partiality to the wicked? You are to give justice to the weak and the fatherless, maintain the right of the afflicted and the destitute. Rescue the weak and the needy, deliver them from the hand of the wicked. They have neither knowledge nor understanding. They walk about in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are shaken. I said, you are gods, sons of the Most High, all of you. Nevertheless, like men you shall die, and fall like any prince. Arise, O God, judge the earth, for you shall inherit all the nations. Let the heavens praise your wonders, O Lord, your faithfulness in the assembly of the holy ones. For who in the skies can be compared to the Lord? Who among the heavenly beings is like the Lord? A God greatly to be feared in the council of the holy ones, and awesome above all who are around him. O Lord God of hosts, who is mighty as you are, O Lord, with your faithfulness all around you. You rule the raging of the sea. When its waves rise, you still them. You crushed Rahab like a carcass. You scattered your enemies with your mighty arm. The heavens are yours. The earth also is yours. The world and all that is in it, you have founded them.
In the future, humans will be confined in a people's zoo.
I'll keep you safe and warm. In my people's zoo. They heard the bell. I'll keep you safe and warm now. In my people's zoo. In war. You, yeah, you. In my people's zoo. Think facts safe. I'll keep the cameras on. In my people's zoo. Armageddon's on the way. I'll keep the cameras on now. In my people's zoo. They all want to hear their dad. You, yeah, you. In my people's zoo.
Climate change. Climate. Vaccines. Climate change. Climate. Vaccines. Climate change. Climate change. Vaccines. Vaccines. Climate change. Vaccines.
I'll make you fat and sassy. In my people's zoo. I'll make you fat and sassy. In my people's zoo. You, yeah, you. You, yeah, you. You, yeah, you. In my people's zoo.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo.
Do not come back, you Nazi psychopaths!